For Yah has not given us the spirit of fear, but the power of love and of a sound mind. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Ba and the Ka and MK Ultra. As I've been revisiting some of my old stomping grounds, I ran into a couple of the individuals who helped me to craft the first MK Ultra in the Hood videos, and I felt a need to revisit this, as there are still some issues that I see not only those individuals still suffering with, but others in the community as well. And so I believe that this is about time. And I was also inspired by a internet radio program where they had some things right and they had some things wrong, as you usually find. And that program was called television mind control, black magic, sigil magic. They are altering your mind. And when people take the spiritual dynamic out of this thing, or when they minimize it, they're not giving you the full 100. So I attempt to not rehash information, but to give you the full 100 by including the spiritual nature of the mind control program MK Ultra in depth as much as I possibly can. I'm going to try to stick to the paper. Almighty guide my tongue, my mind, and my heart to be in alignment with your will. Let me be invisible because you are invincible. Let you be seen and me be unseen. All right. There is the Ba in Egyptian theology. There is the role of the soul and the spirit, the Ba and the Ka. And you'll find those as syllables that are used in a variety of words. The Ba, found in a lot of words, Eastern words, as well as the Ka. And we're not going to focus so much on that as much as the relationship between the soul and the spirit and the importance of the two to MK Ultra. We learned it from the gods, spirits and demons. Now there are some who have a hard time coming to grips with the fact that yes, the Egyptian mysticism system, or the Egyptian mystery religion, is the religion that the Illuminati have used for some time now to keep people confused for some time now. And because a lot of us have been under the impression that if it's from Africa or Egypt, or if it's from our culture, whatever culture you may be from, if you believe that it's from your culture, you have a harder time believing that there's anything wrong with it. And that's a little bit of self-centeredness and a lot of pride. And pride will cause you to have a blind side. I've said it before and I will say it again. So let's look at the occult military complex and the real magnum opus, the great work. Now people will tell you about the great work, and yes, magnum opus was a hip-hop group back in the golden era. I neglected to put them in the part 1 of the series, and just been so many other big fish to fry that I haven't gotten back around to hip-hop, although I do intend to. So charge it to my head, not my heart. But the magnum opus, the great work, many will say that it's a lot of different things, but and transhumanism is part of the agenda. Population control is part of their agenda. The creation of a new Atlantis is what you will hear Manly P. Hall and others admit to. And Manly P. Hall is called the greatest of Masonic writers and philosophers. And before I knew that, I was reading a lot of his stuff at one time. And before I really understood the Masonic connection to all of these things. And even in the Masonry, once you pledge yourself to an organization that is from the top down about worshiping or conjuring of spirit beings, and if you conjure them, you'll end up worshiping them, then you yourself will become subject to being little more than a vehicle for those beings, being able to get around and accomplish what they wish to accomplish in the physical realm, but are unable to accomplish without a physical body, without a vehicle. So the occult military complex and the real magnum opus. Now, when we talk about MK Ultra being developed through the CIA and through the military, the influence of Project Paperclip, which was bringing over the Nazi scientists who were specialists in mind control from Hitler's camp, bringing them over here with the guise of, well, we don't want the Russians to get them, but in reality we wanted them to come over here and help to create an Egyptian style mind control over the people. And when I say Egyptian style, I mean the use of magic and science. This is the true history and secret of the Egyptian mystery system. When I practiced the Egyptian mystery system and said I was going to make that my religion, I did all of the study that I could on it, the bad, the ugly, and the good on it, from the Metu Neter and the Book of Coming Forth by Day and by Night, uh, the Book of Hermes, Thrice Great, and the writings of Aleister Crowley and Madame Blavatsky, who also had delved into it so deeply that anything that you read that is attempting to give you a full picture of the Egyptian mystery system, they will refer to their writings as well. And in reading and understanding all of those things, it only, at the end, left me in a area where the only possible and effective way to contact the gods, quote unquote, of the Neteru was to get involved in this Egyptian magic. And I did so. And the Egyptian magic is nothing but the foundation for conjuring. And I have since rebuked those things and repented and asked for forgiveness for them. And so do feel comfortable that my goal in doing this particular teaching, in this presentation, will be to show you the deception in it, my brother and my sister. Those of you who are still in and of the belief that, well, it was ours, so we need to take it back. And I've heard that said so many times for so many years. And I know the people that have tried. And I'm telling you, their minds are fried. And mine would have been fried if not for the fact that there is a higher power, outside and inside. And that higher power protected me from things which I knew not. So it was not by my own might, not by my intellect, not by my strength, not by my love power, which you will find a lot of things that are bathed in New Age will say that. This is an indicator of a person who does not wish to have a Lord, who does not wish to have discipline or to have some form of authority over them. Now, to have authority in the flesh or here in this physical realm is one thing. We all have issues with people wanting to control us and telling us what to do. Is one of the things that makes a truther true. But to deny all lordship and power or dominion over you is to deny all discipline. Because what disciplines a man? That which is within inside of the man, that's like having a child discipline himself. If that's the case, the child would be born with the ability to discipline himself. Someone outside of the child must discipline the child in order to help it not be deceived by the deceptions of this world, which make right, wrong, right, left, west, east, black, white, male, female, up, down, and all around. And so in order to properly avoid being taken by the spirit beings who will, if they get a chance, take you over and ride in your vehicle, you must have some power that is greater than you after a certain point. Now, there are things we can do. We have a certain power also up to a point. It's free will up to a point. Okay, so we have our own power and ability up to a point, up to a degree. Then once you pass that degree, remember, everything that the devil does is a copy of what the Most High does. Once you pass his degree, then you go to Lucifer. Well, once you pass, and that's once you pass the 32nd degree in Masonry. The 33rd degree, they will tell you about Lucifer. Well, once you pass a certain degree in studying to show thyself approved, show that you are a workman who need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word. Once you pass a certain degree of studying on your own, reading through the box of books, trying to find what has been left behind, the breadcrumbs that have been left purposely to lead you along a particular path of enlightenment or knowledge or so-called wisdom, once you get to a certain level, you will find that you will come up against things that defy your logic and your scientific thinking. That's what had to happen for me. I believed, and I would tell people, that my logic and my scientific thinking, my mind, enables me to eat what I want to eat, say what I want to say. I didn't mind cussing, do what I want to do. And you know, I might slip one every now and then because I am still in this skin. But if you notice, I've done all of these presentations devoid of that, what people are offended by, what they call vulgar language. But once you get to the highest heights of your knowledge, you will bump into something much older and wiser than you. And that's even in the demon Zions, or in the dimensions that you will eventually cross by way of your mind, by way of your thinking. Once you cross into those dimensions, you will find malevolent intentions. You will also find benevolent intentions. But the first thing to challenge you, if you're not covered by the will of the Creator in your journey, the first thing to challenge you will be the malevolent. And I was allowed by the true and living to be challenged by malevolent forces, unseen and unclean. And those forces could do things that were outside of my scope of reality. I was taught that spookism was all belief in spirits was about. And that is a lie. And I do believe that that's a lie more than it is a misconception. Because by now, there's a lot of information out here, and I don't believe I'm the only one, from people who have testified, and you can either say I'm a liar or I don't know what I'm talking about, or you can give me an ear. But people have already testified as to the fact that there is a spirit realm, and the spirit realm gets busy on a level that defies physics and science as we know it. So the occult military complex is about the United States government seeking to use that realm for weaponry. And that's really what MK Ultra is about. When people simply talk about the shattering of the mind, or when they simply talk about DID, dissociative identity disorder, and they leave it at that, they're leaving something very important in the back. And the importance is to clear your mind, or to get you to become mindless, is key to being possessed. Most people are quote unquote possessed or entered into by extra dimensional beings once they have entered into the trance state. Now, the trance state can be induced a number of ways, and we're going to look at some of those things. Hopefully, if I get through all three of these papers, this may be 3 hours long. Somebody frowned, somebody smiled. Thank you for your smile. Every once in a while, somebody got a smile. All right, so the Ba is the soul and the Ka is the spirit, and there is indeed a difference between the two. And the testimonies of different individuals who have been through the MK Ultra program help to justify my position on that, and I hope to make that especially clear. So the soul is the image and the likeness of the Most High, who breathed life into man, and it is unchangeable. This is why it must be given over, they say, or sold, they say, to the music business or Hollywood, or to your corporation, or to the drug that has you under control. You're able to lease out your soul a number of ways. Now, it is my contention, and other people have different points of views, and that's okay, but it's my contention that no, you cannot truly sell your soul, as I believe Pac said in the interview. But you can allow for your spirit to be overtaken, and this is the difference. The spirit is more your personality. It can be copied. It can change. It's changeable. Oh, well, you know, yesterday I was in bad spirits because I didn't hit that number. Or you know what? I was drinking that Hennessy and I wasn't feeling no pain. You was in good spirits, drinking the spirits. So there is a difference. Soul and spirit, the part of you like God, the unchangeable, the soul, versus the nature and nurtured ego or personality, team spirit, or I'm in good spirits. Spirits change. And they change because your brain is like the dial of the receiver. Call your brain the receiver. Your thoughts are like the dial. You can change the way that your brain waves are operating and the way that you're vibrating based upon your thought process. Your thought process, like Goody Mob says. Now, Agent Smith, the movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith, starring Brangelina, Brangelina, and thank you to Ty Black for suggesting the movie Branded, which I really enjoyed because I did overstand it. but True Lies, Total Recall, The Matrix. These are some movies. Let me write The Matrix down. These are some movies and examples of pop culture mimicking and making analogies to this very theory that spirit can be copied. Agent Smith, if you recall, and it's interesting what they call him, Agent Smith. Smith being, you could say, well, that's a term for like anybody, but you have ironsmiths, you have goldsmiths, and you have arrowsmiths. You have those that shape things, and they're called smiths. But Agent Smith was able to shape individuals because he would reach into the individual upon making contact with them, like as exemplified in the movie Fallen. And once he made contact with the individual would themselves become a copy of him. And this is what happens after so long of allowing for a walk-in or an extra-dimensional entity or a demon, a spirit being, an ancestor, to walk in and out of you. After so long, you will become as that demon, as that extra-dimensional, as that ancestor, as that spirit being. And I'm using all of those different terms because this is an all-encompassing project. They take believers and non-believers alike. And again, it's part of the chessboard game, black and white, to try to divide us and keep us from seeing the other's sight, the other point of view. And it's wise for you to remain well-rounded so you don't become a square. And Masons are called squares. They're no longer well-rounded. They will be forced into a box where they will owe the very spirits that they tow. They will owe the spirits that they begged and pleaded for. They will ask for these spirits by way of coercion by the worshipful master and other brothers in degrees who will oftentimes want you to get in so that they can trade the thing that's in their skin for you, so they hope to become themselves again. But in this whole dynamic, it's important to, in order to get free, you're told to give somebody else up. And this is the whole dynamic and analogy behind the sacrifice theory. Why people say celebrities sacrifice their children or their loved ones. You're told that the spirits want a sacrifice, and that's because they're demons. They were once called gods, going all the way back to the ancient time of Samaria and Kemet. And as you see exemplified on the temple of Hathor, you will see long and lean serpentine beings kicking it with the kings and giving them things, and the kings in turn giving them things. And that's the trick bag exchange. That's something that Dr. York was designed to bring, perhaps because at one time he believed it. Now once you get to a certain level in that practice, you will find that you were deceived. And once you find that you were deceived, a lot of people end up feeling awful grieved. Please believe. Somebody believed. But so what you'll find is, all throughout history, the dynamic of people trading things with and to the spirit beings. The song Silver Shadow by Atlantic Starr is an excellent example, and I've said that in a few videos, and I'm going to say it till everybody listen to it. Because if you listen to that song, and of course we pray over things, we don't run away from things. We pray, we don't run away. If you pray, you'll stay. If you fast, you'll last. But and you know, I know there's people who don't believe in prayer, and that's okay. You will by the time you come out of here. But you know, you ask for protection. All prayer is speaking to that which is higher than you. And people that say they don't pray, you will find, without a doubt, these are people who don't believe there's something higher than them. And that is a presence of a great and powerful ego, called ego or spirit, called from the Nile, called the Nile. And that's no coincidence, that's coincidence. Because it was in the Nile, or in the valley of the Nile, that you found this practice most practiced by the royal families at the time, the bloodlines at the time. And the whole practice that you find the queen and her rusty dusty butt and the rest of them following behind is the practice of the ancient Egyptian kings, who believed that they had a divine right to rule, the same way that that old fool and the rest of her crew believe that they do too. But that's part of the deception. Part of the deception is the Luciferian lie, or the Aquarian age, New Age lie, that you are as a god. which goes hand in hand, ironically, with man do as thou wilt. If you are a God, you can do what you want to do. Now, and of course, you wouldn't be sick, you would be perfect. So transhumanism comes into play in that way, because there's no way that in the physical you can be a God. Because if a 44 come out that barrel, it's going to tear a hole in you, and you're going to have to go to the spittle and sit down for a little. So when people tell you that man is God, you should look at them awful odd, like they got two heads and two necks. But a lot of people want to believe this because they do not wish to have any responsibility to anything higher or greater than themselves. Anything that they could imagine can watch them doing dirt behind closed doors. That's another reason why oftentimes Boule members and Masonic order and fraternity members, they are caught up doing homosexual acts, and then they're told that those acts will be hidden. It's part of the God thing to believe that you can mess with a child or mess with your own sex or do all sorts of heinous things and there will be no consequences. That's the word I was looking for earlier. So for those who don't want to accept consequences or responsibility, it is an ideal way of thinking. Some of you who claim to be Christians or believers are really deceived by the deceivers, because you want to do how you want to do. You want to do as you've always done. You don't seek to perfect yourself or correct yourself, and you don't take correction well. And that's not a good place to dwell. We can always stand correction. Be ye perfect even as the Messiah was perfect. And that is a work in progress. We was taught in the studio perfection, and I know it's an old adage that goes something like this: perfection is a state that can never be obtained, though must constantly be reached toward, or something like that. Work toward. You should always work toward perfection, although you may never reach it. The very fact that you cannot reach perfection easily does not give you the right to throw up both your hands like Marvin Gaye and say, oh, well, I can't do nothing about it anyway. That is a way to rationalize and personalize your own demon, and to make yourself without consequence, to where you have no consequence for your actions. Can't nobody tell me, can't nobody tell you what to do, or you have no leader over you. And again, the one leader that is right and true, let God be true and every man be a liar, is the Most High, a. So if you want to be on fire like your man unplug him, that's what you got to do, because I can't lose with what I use. Believe it. So and it took me to bump my head up against this very rock that I'm finna try to break apart for you now. And that's how I can speak on it. I was on my way into the music mind control program of Project Umbrella under MK Ultra. I was on my way into becoming a practitioner of Egyptian sorcery, and had that in my bloodline. My father and grandfather both were practicers of the art of conjuring, and they successfully conjured an extra-dimensional being. And I've told that story a number of times, so I won't tell it again today. So again, this is not coming from a place of goofy gooberness, okay? This is coming from a place of super duperness. By the will of the Creator, I was allowed to experience these things and then not be torn asunder like many are, so that I could break them down a little taste for you. So let me go ahead and get to what we're supposed to be getting to. Okay, so not only do you find the split personality, who was that by UTFO? The split personality, meaning having a multiplicity of spirits. In reality, there was a show used to come on HBO, I believe, called The United States of Terror. It was either HBO or Showtime, but it was one of those straight to cable or made for cable series, and it was about a woman who had DID, and you never knew if she was going to be a guy that was like a white trash type of guy, or if she would be a hot, sexy woman, or if she would be the perfect 50s mom, because she was constantly going in and out of these personality changes, which is, like a legion, constantly changing a person's ways from one way to another. The book Sybil, also turned to a movie, gave you more example of that. But yes, the movies are True Lies, Total Recall, The Matrix, where we had the example of Agent Smith, and the film Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Again, you find the Smith because it's about shaping something. The Smith shapes the ironsmith. The goldsmith shapes the gold. So it shapes you. Your spirit can be shaped, your soul cannot. So DID, or so-called split or multiple personality disorder, is achieved by emptying the mind. And you have certain songs that they also use to help to trigger this response. Those that want to take science over religion, and you shouldn't do that, nor should you take religion over science. You should throw them both to the side as pawns in the game and use your Holy Spirit discernment. Don't throw aside all of Christianity, because Christianity could not have been such an effective lie if it were not built on certain truths. So again, you have to look at the truths that the lie was built upon before you throw away the meat with the bones, or the baby with the bathwater, as they say. So the major truth in Christianity is how to defend yourself from demons, and we'll get to that. And I had to experience that firsthand. It wasn't something somebody told me. It had been told to me and I didn't believe it. It was something I had to try in the midst of being attacked by an extra dimensional being, or being threatened, because it, by the will of the Creator, was unable to attack me. I wondered why something that sounded that grim wouldn't just pop up in front of me and throw me around the room like you see in horror movies, which are designed to make you believe that you are inferior to these beings. In reality, through the way of the Messiah, if we follow his way, how can we follow his way? Because of what's left in the Bible as true. There are many things. There's more truth in the Bible than not. And within the Bible are words that could not be changed, because they were written direct from the inspiration of the Most High, who is unchangeable, the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. How do you find them? The same way you look through any book. Some of you have become allergic to the Bible. And this is part of the Luciferian objective, the mind control goal, to make you believe that you can, by yourself alone, defend yourself in all situations, including from the spirit realm. When I hear people admit that they are demons, but then not admit that Yeshua is who run them off here, and I said the name like Grandma said. I didn't even say Yeshua. I said Jesus, and I did not believe this. I did not believe in it. Had taught people that it could not have any power. Had taught many people, had broke Christians down, breaking them down to the very last compound, and still, in the end, I find, inadvertently, not on purpose, I find that this name really does drive off these spirit beings. And I found it again and again and again. That's a theory I've tested more than once. But there are songs that are also used to help to trigger the mind into tuning the receiver to receive the frequencies of these extra or lower dimensional beings. And some of these songs are sung by singers and performers who don't really deserve to be called singers, some of them, but great singers too, like Shaka Khan and Vesta Williams, because the devil likes the very best. Many singers have given ode to these realities of which we speak. How your mind can be split up and many personalities can be in one person. Like in Shaka, I'm Every Woman. Look at the video. You got to see the video. There is an old video for that. It's old school. But look at it and you will see the analogy of duality. Also, once bitten, twice shy. You'll discern some things from the lyrics and some things from the video. Same as with I'm Every Woman. Some things, if you're nice with the songwriter's secret, and by now some of you are, you'll be able to discern simply by the lyrics. So you could simply listen to I'm Every Woman and get a lot. I can cast a spell, secrets you can't tell. Mix a special brew, put fire inside of you. So, but once bitten, twice shy is another example. And we know about how Vesta died an untimely death. Perhaps that's related to her outcry in the song Once Bitten, Twice Shy. But look at the video. You'll see lots of symbolism in the video. The banana symbolism, symbolizing mind control. How she says that the doctors keep telling me. So she's going to these doctors who, just like in the original Rosemary's Baby, the doctor was in on the whole satanic thing. Matter of fact, he was a part of the coven. And so his job was to prescribe to her certain things to keep her mind controlled. And those of you who take psychotropic medicine, we'll get down into that too, whether you take it for recreation, to wreck creation, or whether you take it because it was prescribed to you. Either way, it's to wreck creation, and it's to destroy you and to open up your mind to be overtaken by demonic beings, called by some the jinn, called by others extra dimensional beings, called by others the spirits, and called by the game goofiest the ancestors. Oh, you're the ancestors. I let the ancestors coming to me. Okay. These demonic entities are thousands of years old, and they overstand the difference between spirit and soul. Though they cannot copy and duplicate the soul, they can copy and duplicate the spirit or the personality of your dead and gone loved ones. And they will do just that in order to fool you into allowing them in and out. They'll do whatever they got to do to come in and out. They will become beautiful women or handsome men if that's what turned you on. Shame on you if you're a brother. But they will do whatever they have to do. They will offer you trinkets, which is all jewelry and different things are. And many of these stars, they wear the trinkets around their necks that are made of the very same conducting metals that are used in demonology, in conjuring. You must have certain metals. So in certain songs and also in the evidence of certain stars in pop culture, you see the dual names. This is also exemplary of individuals who have two in them. Hope you don't have two in you. And though there are many ways to try to get us on that level and on that status, believe it, we're going to run through a lot of those. The Whispers songs by the Whispers, who ironically have twin singing lead singers. The lead singers are Scotty and Walter Scott. Yes, Scotty Scott. Again, a duality name and a twin. Have mercy, once again. And the song You're Always on My Mind, which I believe was Elvis, but was covered by Willie Nelson, who a lot of you look at as, Willie, jesse+ventura. And, oh boy. Some people never learn. High profile. Lots of exposure. You need to look twice at them and put out that dozier, because it'll mess up the way you see things, believe me. Never has my mind been so clear. I feel like Bushwick Bill, without the Everclear, ever so clear. So emptying the mind by different practices, mind control, yoga, meditation. My astral projection was triggered by trance, not by chance. Also through trauma. Yes, I had an astral projection, and I had put myself into a trance state by emptying my mind, going into deep meditation like DJ Premier. And I projected from out of my body, which is just a way of the demon beings lifting your spirit out of yourself and attempting really to get you lost in the sauce, to take you somewhere where they can hop on your back when you come back down. That's the goal. Sorry, mind control, spirit control, and eventually the soul. If your spirit becomes so inundated and controlled by these beings, then the next step from their perspective is that you will be able to give over your soul. You will willingly sign your soul away. There are ways to do this by ritual, but in reality, because the Most High cannot be sold, and your soul is nothing but the spark, as in Genesis it was said, we were made in His image and likeness. That's the part of you that's like the Most High, not your spirit. Some people got a bold spirit, but the Most High still made them. The spirit is part of their nature and their nurture. They may have a bold nature. Their mom and daddy might be awful evil or mean or condescending, or some people are contentious. They just like to argue. Some people are prideful. These are things that are learned mostly, and that can be nurtured. Nurture means the way you were raised, the way you was taught in your environment. The nature is what they say, how you come out. So when people talk about what season you coming out, or what season you're born in affecting your behavior, they're talking about your nature, because it's the way you came out. I guess in a sense you could look at that as a form of nurture, because it's the way that you were taught by the vibrations of the world on that day. But nurture is generally thought of as the way that you were taught scholarly things, or things involving academics, like your alphabet, or the way you were raised to maybe give to the poor, or to be a charitable individual, or to be a stingy individual, or all of those different things involve how you were raised. Whether you're moral or not. That's part of your nurturing. It should have been part of your nurturing. What your mother and father teaches you, they call the mother the nurturer, but both mother and father have to nurture in order to have a well-balanced child, a well-rounded child, and not a square. Like many of you squares out there, and I'm going to call some names before it's all said and done. I feel it. I'm getting riled up. Have mercy. And no, this is not passive aggression. This is real aggression, because I'm angry with the wicked every day, and I hate evil. As the Most High said, Jacob have I loved, and Esau have I hated. I want to be like the Most High. Have mercy. That's what Lucifer said before he fell. I cannot be like the Most High. However, there is a spark of the Most High within all of us, and it's called the soul. So the goal of mind control is really possession. So through many different forms of what many of us call normal everyday practices, you can be entered in by these beings. Now, the beings first perfected their deception tactic back in alchem, or Kemet, where you get alchemistry from, and where you get chemistry from, and where Kim, the bald-headed guy from the D, got his name from, I'm sure, and where Ra Kim gets his Kim from. So chemistry, or alchemistry, or alchemy, Al being the divine the principle, not just the regular the, but the divine the, Al or El. People say it mean Lord or whatever, but if you notice, words like Al-Qaeda mean the base. Okay, Al-Ard, the earth. So Al is more of a the principle, but not a normal the divine the, like the, if you will. So alchemy is about transforming the self, not merely transforming base metals to gold, as we're taught in some of the books of old. Some of those books are deliberately written to deceive you. Much like when you find the depictions of the magicians, they will be standing inside of the Solomon's key, which is right where the demon is supposed to be. And that's symbolic in some ways, that the magician themselves will be taken over, like in a Sting song, Wrapped Around Your Finger. Listen to the song, the lyrics, and watch the video, and you will get a full picture of what I'm trying to illustrate. But magicians believe that if they, in the latter times, more so than today, they are told in the old magic books that I know, because I saw some, got them right out the back room there. The old dude and granddaddy, I don't know which one's book it was, but they had an olden book, the older lesser key, and there were illustrations inside, and it showed the magician or the wizard standing inside of the sacred circle, which is nothing but another name for Solomon's key. Really, the key is the geometric shape. The geometric shapes that you find, like the pentagram or the hexagon and other shapes, like what you find on the Necronomicon, different shapes. The shape is really the key. The key unlocks the doorway, and the doorway there's two doorways. Your mind is the first doorway, and the second doorway is the dimensions. And a lot of people will say different dimensions that they believe it is the fourth, the sixth, different ones. I take a cue from the group called the Fifth Dimension, who made the song Age of Aquarius and Let the Sun Shine In, which we know is reaching back to sun worship, which reaches back to Egypt, which points to the Egyptian mystery system. Look at the clothes that they had on. Look at the symbols on the clothing. That will help give you some indication. I looked at a lot of their album covers, and I began to get more understanding of this. But I know people who tore through that veil without the sacred geometry. There were things on the market. It's banned a lot of places now, as it should be. There was a particular herb, and you call it a herb because it grows out the ground, but it's a pharmacon, an herb that was brought here by the fallen. Some of the things that we see weren't here by the soul will and creation of the Most High. The Most High has permissive will, and he permitted for certain things to be here to test us. And so marijuana is one of those things. 4 people just dropped their blunt. And so was salvia. Well, because Mary Juana. First of all, Juana is a feminine play off the name Juan, which is the name John and Mary. John and Mary. So you think you like Jesus when you get to smoking. Have mercy. But right there, even in the name and in other things that it's called, it's another. And you'll hear people say different things about it. Oh, well, it blocks off the ability to this, that, blah, blah. I was a heavy weed smoker. And I can tell you right now, I'm thinking faster. I'm more creative. What it does is it puts you, yes, it does put you in a relaxed state. Absolutely. And you better believe if the government is giving it to you for medicine, it must be all good. Oops! I had said that, when I was smoking, I had said that once the government starts slinging it, I'm through with it. At least I had enough sense to say that and believe that. Some of you don't even put those two things together. And yet you'll still say, oh, well, it's medicinal. It was put here for us, blah, blah, blah. That's your desire. And don't point to Genesis 9:3 like I used to do. That's not one of the herbs that was here for that use. Boil it in a tea. You don't want it like that. You want to roll it up in a zigzag with the Hassassin, the assassin, Bedouin on the front. It was used for the mind control of the assassins. That's why Bedouin is on the front. That's a symbol of mind control. And your white owls, which have the owl that you see in Bohemian Grove on the cover, the same owl that you see your girl Drake using. I believe that's his medallion. And that owl represents the owl that accompanied Lilith, the night demon. Or Minerva, also sometimes called Diana, and represented in Kemet as Isis. Different names, same thing. The names change, but the game's the same. Have mercy. So gold and some other metals are used for conducting and conjuring. I was stopped short of doing a couple of workings that I wanted to do because I ain't had no gold. And this is part of the reason why in the golden era of hip-hop, you saw the Conscious Brothers. Because in that era, you have consciousness came in right after people wearing the gold cables. And yeah, you had the me, myself, and I, which was a way to switch you from one form of mind control and possession to another. From a base form to a more easily controlled form. From the gold chain wearing ability to conduct by way of the gold on you to the splitting yourself in two or three, me, myself, and I, by de la soul, or of the soul, or from the soul, right? Again, it's about control of your soul. So some people question the dimension. Again, the fifth dimension is where you find the most heinous of these demons. Now, there appears to be a variety of demons, according to the Goetia and the writings of Solomon, and those who have experienced different types of demonic beings. When people say different types of aliens, sometimes we're saying the same things with different terminology based on the background that we come from or what we believe is true at the time. Now, I don't come from the Christian background, not at all, but I find it to be true, and it's been true now for 11 years. When I first had my experience with the extra dimensional, it was 2003. And that being growled and hollered at me. And it was that is what it took for me to see that Jesus is a real G. He's the real deal. Holyfield, believe it. And that was the name that I called out inadvertently because of what I was reading. And that thing backed up off me, and it shocked me that that name worked. So it wasn't my mental projection of the name or nothing, because I didn't believe in the name. I wouldn't have been reading it if I hadn't been clowning on somebody. The very same person I was on the phone reading this to in jest had something down deep in their chest. Oh yes. Hey, we heavyweight jamming, funky fresh. So there is there are beings who traverse other dimensions, and hell is considered. A lot of people don't want to believe in hell. What you want to believe is more convenient than what's true. What's true sometimes can make you uncomfortable if you're fearful. But Yah has not given us the spirit of fear, but the power of love and of a sound mind. And be you transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's the mind that causes the transformation. So we're going to get into that too, because possession and transformation go hand in hand. Transformers, something looking like one thing and being another, or having another inside of it. A vehicle with a living being inside of it. That's what your body effectively becomes when you become one of the empty bodies of the Masonic Lodge, like some of you are, because you want to live large. You join the lodge. You want to live large. But hell is a prison or punishment dimension, like you see exemplified in, I believe it was Superman 3 or 2, where General Zod and his crew were trapped inside of a prism, which is just a way to say prison. It's a prison for light. And of course, we know that Lucifer and his angels, they say, transform themselves into beings of light. This is another analogy. Lots of analogies in the movies. We're going to try to go down through these. So like I showed and proved in the other video about reptilians and vampires, dimension is nothing but the combination of the word demon and Zion. And yes, there's a Zionist agenda to all of this. The Zionists are who have kept the Kabbalah and certain secret arts from the ancient Hebrews and their interaction with pagan cultures. They've kept these things to themselves. And yes, the Hebrews interacted with pagan cultures. It's all through the book. Many a time they had to be admonished. Jeremiah was admonishing them. Isaiah was admonishing them because they was getting turned over to these other beings, especially when they were in Babylon, as in the case of Jeremiah. You know, for those of you who say, well, you know, oh, okay, that's on here. We'll get to it. Okay. I wasn't sure it was on here. Now, there are simple answers, and, you know, do forgive my long-windedness if you choose to call it that. But there are simple answers, but some need details. And I make these videos for people that were trapped in the way that I was trapped, because I knew that the simple answers wasn't working for me. Grandma saying, thank God for Jesus, didn't do nothing but give me disdain for the Messiah. Yes, it did. It used to get on my nerves to hear her ability to just let go and just believe something you can't see. And for me, being raised up in the disciplines of the nation and the 5% nation, spookism was all I thought that was. You know, you believe in the unseen, you believe in spookism, we're taught. And that's a way that the white man keep you tricked and trapped, which is a lie, keep you tricked and trapped into not believing that there is a spirit realm. But more importantly, they don't want you to believe that there are demons. If you believe there are demons, remember, one of the devil's greatest tricks, if you've heard in many movies, one of the devil's greatest tricks is to convince the world that he does not exist. Well, if you don't believe that demons exist, they can get down on you a lot better. Some people say, well, voodoo only works on you if you believe in it. Voodoo works on you, especially when you're ignorant. And again, who y'all bless, none can curse. But if you're walking outside of his perfect will, as many of us do, and many of us still will, unfortunately. But it's good to get in that perfect will, not just the permissive will. But if you walk outside of the perfect will for too long, and you go places and spaces you shouldn't have been, Donald Byrd, you will also get hopped in, Donald Byrd. And you won't be walking in rhythm. But yes, indeed, the Masonic Lodge webpage for Detroit, which they say is the largest Masonic temple. It's the Masonic temple where many Masonic entertainers come and perform. So if you want a good idea of who's in it to win it and who's not, just look at the list of people that have come to perform at the Detroit Masonic Temple. It's a place that a lot of people don't even think about the name of it. I didn't think about the name of it until years later, because we've just been so used to, well, that's where you have graduation at, or that's where people hold concerts at. Nobody would even think of the Masonic Temple as an actual place where they did Masonic ritual. And I have pictures and whatnot of the outside of it. I took a lot of pictures outside of there, and I had meant to do a video just specifically on the Masonic Temple. However, the website for the Masonic Temple will tell you quite plainly that they are looking to create bodies. They're looking for willing bodies. And they use that terminology several times until a friend of mine who was reading about this, Sister Cree, what up, Sister Cree, if you happen to be listening to me, we was reading about this, and we both was surprised at how many times they used that terminology without thinking that a red flag would go up in a person's mind. I guess you'll be so blind and so game goofy and willing to do anything for a couple of dollars while you're reading that site, you wouldn't even pay no attention to that. But the admission that they're looking for bodies is the same way as saying that the spirits are looking for vehicles. Your body is a vehicle. And so they wish to have bodies because the intent of the ritual is to hollow out your personality. The same way that they do you in the frat and the sorority. It's to hollow out your personality. The same way they do you when you join the military. It's to hollow out your personality, make you like everybody else, to dumb your personality down so they can put another one in there. So they can turn you all the way down by way of their rituals. And in the military, you will do rituals. And in the frat, you will do rituals. As well as in the lodge, you will do rituals. And these rituals are designed, some of them designed by Aleister Crowley, in all of those different ways that I just mentioned, not just in the lodge. But Crowley was behind a lot of things that royalty and kings and queens of the earth instituted in all of their different limbs, the different limbs of their tree. In the military, you'll find things from Crowley, as well as in the college realm. A lot of people who are seeking their knowledge in college will bump into many Crowleyan things. College is one of the first places that people who were especially controlled or disciplined or didn't feel like they had enough freedom, that's one of the first places people get that do as thou wilt thing going on. And a lot of your summer comedies, you'll find reference made to, oh yeah, I tried that out when I was in college. And everybody laughs, or the laugh track will play on the sitcom, because it's kind of an inside joke in a certain culture that once you get to college, you're supposed to try out all kind of weird things, right? Have mercy. But yes, the prison or the punishment dimension is real. It is a demon Zion, a place of demons, or a unholy place of demons. And it has been caricatured. Yes, hell has been caricatured. They mock it in South Park and in Family Guy. They mock it in churches, Pastor Porkchop and them. They make light of it. And people who have had an opportunity to visit that dimension and come back and tell tales of it, such as Mary Baxter, it ain't nothing nice. I don't want to be in a prison here. People say, oh, well, this is your hell. It's a hell on earth. You've never crossed over to the ultimate realm, my brother, because you'll see that this is lightweight jamming. Luckily, I didn't have to see hell to understand that. All I had to do was see that there's another level of things. There's another level of things where you have no control. Here in this realm, you have some degree of control over what happens to you. Even with all of the things that the New World Order and the Illuminati have put into place to keep you from having ultimate control of yourself, they put a lot of control in place, a lot of mind control in place. You still have some level of control. You can choose to smoke that or not smoke that, or drink that or not drink that. You can choose to work at your job or quit. You can choose a lot of things at this point. Imagine being in a place where you can't choose to stop doing what you're doing. That's hell. Oh man, well, it's like that for a hustler, man. I can't stop doing what I'm doing. You's a new fool. You may not want to, but you have the option. You could live like you have to live if you stop, but you still have the option. Hell really is having no option, no choice. You can't do nothing but take this whooping. They'll put the whoop on you. And yet it is the dimension also where fierce, ugly, cruel spirits are kept. And I can tell you that all of the spirits ain't nicey. Because the one I had to encounter, in order to get my mind right, I had to encounter something that was not nice. It was not nice. It told me it wasn't nice. Off rip. Its first words to me internally. Yes, internally. So that tells you something about telepathy. I mean, right inside of my head, as if there was a radio in there. It said to me in a classic caricature of a horror movie villain voice, like a monster or a demon in a movie. It said, fear me. I said it with more force than that, but it said it inside of my head. And that's the first time I had ever experienced anything like that, except for when I've had the good pleasure of being spoken to by the Holy Spirit of the Most High, whether it was one of his angelic beings or the Holy Spirit or the Most High himself, what they call the Metatron. All I know was there was a distinct difference. the way and the intent behind this speaking. Okay, the way of the speaking and the intent behind it, just like anybody's delivery. The delivery was obviously not of this world, and it was nothing nice. But again, I could be making it up. I sound like a idiot, don't I? To some of you, I may, and that's okay. I forgive you. But yes, this is where fierce, ugly, cruel spirits are kept in these various dimensions. Now, I maintain that the fifth dimension I don't believe is a hell as much as it is a place where reptilian beings dwell. And some people have torn the veil to that fifth dimension by taking salvia or shrooms or other things, and you're able to see things that dwell on other dimensions. We are third dimensional beings. We can see down. You can see third, second, and first. Well, fifth dimensional beings are able to see, they say, but not interact with the others. Fourth, third, second, and first. Same way I could fold a piece of paper and show you a 3D reality, a 2D reality, and a 1D reality. The same way. Well, they can do the same thing because they're in a higher dimension. That's what the numbers are for. And ironically, you had Zionist scientists like Einstein, who was buddies with Tesla, and Oppenheimer, who were behind some of the greatest technologies of the 20th century, and the discoveries about dimensions. You also had Jack Parsons, who was a huge part of the military occult complex, if NASA and the military were connected, and we know that they were. It was a military operation to get the scientists and bring them here. It was a mind control operation, what they put them into. We call it NASA, which is nothing but a play off Nazi, because you turn around the S, you have a Z, and you replace the A with an I. And it was all about mind control, not actually leaving the planet and going elsewhere, but not outer space as much as it is inner space, the space between your ears. And that's why astronauts exhibit such disruptive and strange behavior, especially when questioned about where they've been, and why you even had the one lady astronaut, driving across country doing crazy stuff like wearing a diaper. Because when you're in a mind control program, you yourself, you become a victim of mind control, and you will do erratic things. So, yes, the hell dimension, or the demon Zion of so-called hell, has been caricatured, yet it is where fierce, ugly, cruel spirits are kept after the body is degraded, and it's why torture and trauma is necessary for MK Ultra. In order to get the mind to open up, to tear the veil, without the use of a picture of sacred geometry, a sigil, a pentagram or hexagram, you can cause torture or trauma in an individual. When you're using the hexagram or pentagram, you're counting on the ancestral brain to kick in. You're counting on the subconscious to recognize something that it may have not consciously seen before, but that is programmed just as eels or salmon or elephants have ancestral memory. We are programmed with a sort of ancestral memory where some of the things the ancestors did, they say, we do too. I maintain that all of that is still a part of the spirit realm dynamic. And if you input the spirit realm dynamic into your theory, you won't be doing yourself a disservice. You'll really be helping yourself overstand instead of understanding some things, some deeper things, and then understanding it. So SRA cults and religions, when I say religions, I mean your garden variety religions, are a key source of splitting the psyche, opening or emptying, used by serpents on royal families and used by ruling families on their own families and us. Music, movies, amusement parks, interesting, amuse mentality. It's like a tone or at one mentality, at one ment or atonement, or develop mentality, devil up mentality. A muse, ment for menta or mend or mind. And a muse is a word for a spirit that inspires you. It's a spirit. It's a demonic spirit that would inspire the painters and the sculptors and the singers. And they would say, well, I haven't come up with anything today. I'm waiting for my muse. They're waiting for the spirit to overtake them and write the song for them. But interestingly enough, amusement park is a park that is built on the foundational principles of mind control via duality, the splitting of the self into two different realities. A double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. Why? Because in his double mind state, he has opened himself up to beings of hate that jam heavy weight. Once you split yourself into believing two different realities at the same time, what they call doublethink, you will open yourself up to possession. Believe it. And what are you believing at the same time when you're at an amusement park? You're believing that fear is fun. It's the same thing as thinking that pain is pleasure. And it's why they traumatize the children, to cause that split in the thinking. When the brain is trying to rectify which is which, it will go into that state. It will switch. It will compartmentalize itself. And in an attempt, it's a defense mechanism. It's an attempt to keep the person from losing it because they're confusing it. And there's intentional confusion that goes on to create an MK Ultra effect in all of us without us ever going to the military, without us ever allowing for Dr. Mingala or Dr. Green or the rest of them, Kinsey or any of the rest of them, to abuse us as children. We are still affected and bombarded by MK Ultra realities and by the MK Ultra program itself, trying to split your mind in two, a variety of ways, by creating that dual thinking in your mind. Okay, it's part of why you'll find such a propensity for homosexuality today. They could not have brought out the pink hand agenda with the force and power and exposure that they have today when I was coming up, because there wasn't as much confusion. You need confusion in order to have the proper infusion, in order to put that spirit in you. You have to be confused. Once you're in a confused state, the way that the brain vibrates, that tuner of the receiver will tune in such a way as to you're open. You're open for anything. And when you're open for anything, walk-ins walk in. And sit-ins sit in. And stand-ins will stand in. Don't famous actors have a stand-in who's usually a double? Have mercy. Somebody's in trouble. But music, movies, amusement parks, dope, sports, all enhance the mass trance. And yes, tonight I hope to get my panel tight and go ahead and do that one. But all these things help to enhance the mass trance, the trance state, or emptying of the thoughts, or the spirit, the personality, which is key and opens you up. Once you are opened, or your spirit or personality moves aside, you can be entered/possessed, i.e. Sasha Fierce, Roman Zelensky, Nicki Minaj's alter ego, alter egos in general, or other spirits, rap names, Facebook names, frat names, net aliases. You know, that's who you want to be, or who the spirit in you really is trying to come out. And they've given it new avenues of coming out. There's more ways now for it to come out. That's why there are more people coming out than ever. And Jeremiah 1 and 10 says, well, I pit Jeremiah 1 and 10 versus obey the laws of the land. People will say, oh, you gotta obey the laws of the land, because they're scared of revolution. They're scared of doing like the Messiah did and challenging. You have to challenge the authority when the authority is wicked. I'll give you scriptures on it. So don't just sit up and say that. People say that just to cower down, or to tell you not to, don't rock the boat. Rock that mug. Yeshua did. But wicked rulership. I know it's in here. When the rulership is wrong and wicked, you must stand against it. The Joshua generation is here to do just that. Believe it. I'm glad y'all here. Have mercy. Okay. Okay. Rules. Okay. Carrying rules too far. Mark chapter 2, 23 through 27. Okay. There is a way of carrying rules too far. And also, uh, Jeremiah was told to tell his people, don't adapt to the ways of the heathen. Learn not the ways of the heathen. What if the ways of the heathen become some of the laws of the land? That's where we are right now. That's what I'm saying. And this is the new Babylon, where we live. Chop down Babylon. Babylon the Great is fallen. Come out of her, you are told. Don't just roll with her. Some of y'all, I'm telling you, you got to be ready for this church without spot or blemish. I got to be ready for it. All I'm doing is just help to get some mental preparation for the fact that it's coming. But learn not the way of the heathen. Jeremiah 10, excuse me. And Jeremiah 1 and 10 is telling you to throw down. Told Jeremiah that part of his permission, part of his appointment was not just to go along with things, but to tear down, to throw down, to pluck up. And I like to throw down. I'm from Detroit. Candidates. That's what some of you are. Candidates. Your sweethearts. What makes a great candidate for the Janus Project, for the Jason Project, and for Project Umbrella? All branches of MK Ultra and various forms. MK Ultra is a form of COINTELPRO, or vice versa. COINTELPRO is a baby bear version of MK Ultra. It's really a cover. COINTELPRO was a way to cover the heinous spiritual activities going on in MK Ultra, because again, as the mind is the key to the spirit and the spirit to the soul, how is it that you have no demon possession yet you're under mind control? Have mercy. You need to look at Branded, because yes, there are spirits behind these logos, behind this sigil magic. That's what magic is for. There is no magic versus magic. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Fire versus fire, everything burn up. Believe it. It's fire versus water. And water represents the spirit, as fire represents the magic. Don't play with me. Stay with me. Later on, pray with me. And yes, we do much more than prayer around here. But over this particular forum, that's about all I can do, is to break these things down for you and to pray for you. And for those of you who know me outside of this box that you're looking at me in now, you know I'm a man of action. And that's all I got to say about that. But the goal is control, either through approach A, the aggressive approach, or approach B, the passive aggressive approach. Too much self and too little self. Or in that case, how I just worded it, too little self or too much self. Either one, the Illuminati bets will choke you to death. If you don't eat enough, you will starve. And if you overeat, you'll gorge yourself and die from obesity or something derived from gluttony. Orwell talked about the use of order to get to this means, which is too little self, or gorilla pimping, going hard on you. You can't do this, you can't do that. And some religion is used to help to push that part of the agenda. Some religions are. And some religions are used to push the Huxley version, as in Aldous Huxley, who wrote A Brave New World, which was, like Orwell's book 1984, a caricature, but somewhat of a guidebook and playbook as to how they would achieve this control. There were two different ways that they could do it. And Huxley's way represents the B technique, or the passive-aggressive technique, through chaos. Mama letting you do anything. You can do anything. Do as thou wilt. We have all the information out here for you. We're not stopping you from doing nothing. Do everything. Eat everything. Listen to everything. Say everything on the radio. Dress how you want to dress. Have sex with everything. That's the bet of the Huxley way. And right now it looks like that the Huxley way is overtaking the Orwellian way. The gorilla pimping technique. People begin to rebel. Most people, you start smacking them around. It's the good cop, bad cop technique. They usually bring in bad cop first. And that's what has happened with all of us. Bad cop was brought in first. As with W. Bush, who was the bad cop, representing the Orwellian technique, gorilla pimping you, smacking you around, giving you so much order, signing all kind of executive orders. Same end by different means, because control was the goal. And then you've been smacked around so much, you've been split in two. Traumatized. Mind control 101. Double-mindedness. The same double-mindedness that we just spoke about, the same traumatization that goes on with children and those who are involved in SRA cults and those who are involved in religious cults of all kinds. Some of y'all too much into the church. It becomes a form of cult by the theory of how it operates. If it look like a duck and quack like a duck. So, somebody's hurt by that. Don't be hurt. Do some research first. What makes a cult a cult? Are you able to think outside of your leader's thoughts? Are you able to operate without everyone in the cult knowing exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it? Do their opinions matter more than, say, your husband, your wives, your mates, your families? Have they become your new family? Have they isolated you from all others? Let's just come out from them. It says, have no works with the... Jesus Christ is your example. When you begin to go past the example, or when you're not walking in the example of Yeshua in the simplest ways, you've stepped out of bounds. If you call yourself a believer. So many of you call yourselves followers of Jesus. You don't do nothing like Jesus did. You do things more like cults did. Ancient cults did. It's 4 or 5 of you. Or it's 50, 100 of you. And you all worship your worshipful master, the same as is done in a Masonic lodge. You don't get out and mix with the people who need what you have to give the most. If you are truly a physician, or if you are made in the image and likeness, or follow the example of the great physician, he wasn't hardly never in there. One time, we know he was in there reading. He read. And even then, he made them shake their head. And then another time, because he was a reformer. Reform. Not an informer. He was to reform. And the other time, he went up in there with braided cord and whooped that in the name of the Lord. So it's a time for that. Don't just give me the game goofy version. Give me the real deal holy feel. And he's coming back for war. There's the lamb and the lion. Is that duality? No. It represents, it is a duality form of how to represent something that the devil has hijacked. He has taken the concept of, yes, we serve a God that created both positive and negative, both storms and rain, both sun and moon, both night and day, both male and female. And so the devil, in his attempt to copy, has created this duality thing, this duality magic, if you will. And it is indeed a form of magic. So there is a way of splitting up your mind in two to make you prefer the black side of the chessboard to the white side. Either way, you're a pawn in the game. So you want to step aside or away from the game and see the gray area. Okay? So now, the technique that's winning today is the Aldous Huxley technique of chaos to achieve order. The B technique. And they brought in the smooth fool with an attitude. Old Beezy the freak. They brought him in there. He was a dude that liked to do whatever he wanted to do growing up. If you read anything about his story, he was quite the lawless one. And his job is to help to push that chaos agenda. He's going to let all type of stuff is going to go until he gets us to the level where we've effectively been overly zealous in our desire to do as we will. And so next thing, we're going to need Obesicare or a chip to make us do what they want. That's what do what thou will is supposed to set you up to do. It is a way to get you so lawless and so undisciplined that you're going to jam yourself up into situations where you need their help in the end. Have mercy. Lawlessness, no consequence thinking. We'll go more into that, believe me. No consequence thinking. No God as the final consequence, as the judge, as who keep you from not doing things that you would do when ain't nobody looking. It's big in communism, which is a huge form of control. And yes, I watched a video from a communist North Korea, and they gave such a scathing expose on American pop culture and all of the ills with it and the things we do here in the West. And it was right on point up until they took religion and made it a culprit without any redeeming value. Again, whenever they're telling you to throw aside all of religion in lieu of science, or throw aside all of science in lieu of religion, they're telling you a lie. Because every lie that withstands the test of time must be built upon the foundation of a firm truth. So until you extract the full truth and the firm truth from religion, do not dare throw all of its concepts aside, or the concepts that have been hijacked by Lucifer, the Luciferians, Pastor Porkchop, and the rest of them. So lawlessness is what they're pushing today. The kids can get on the internet and learn things it took me 20 years to learn in 20 minutes. I had to look and dig for my daddy's player magazines. These kids can hop on here and see every inch of a woman. Believe it before they can talk good. So no consequence thinking makes you unable to submit to the Most High. No self-control, nor discipline. That's the key to making you a follower or surrendering one's will to other humans. But it's played off as freedom, liberty, the liberals, the libertarians. They playing a game like they offer your freedom, when in reality they overstand. It's like the freedom of going to a smorgasbord or all you can eat, old country buffet, or one of them places. You see what that freedom get them people. Look at the big old happy hips walking around there. It's an analogy, if you can see it as such, for what they're doing overall in society. They're giving you everything, too much of everything. And remember, it said that a little bit of something or too much of anything is not good. So it's a way of pitting one extreme against the other, black versus white, another black and white chessboard dynamic played out before your very eyes in society. Systematic behavior modification. Let's go back to no self-control or discipline. Okay, which a lot of people like the idea of this. Consider Michael McDonald's Sweet Freedom with the black and white, Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines. And we know Gregory Hines ended up being a sweet boy, and Billy Crystal can't tell me he ain't. And the way they singing and dancing and looking on the video, I mean, you use your discernment. I'm tired of using mine for you. No, I'm just playing. It's cool. But yeah, check out that video, Sweet Freedom, and listen to the lyrics. You are the magic. You're right where I want to be. Some of you would rather be in a position where you don't have to do nothing that you're told to do, even if it's right. It's part of pushing you to make you dislike all laws. It pushes you towards anarchy or lawlessness. And through the chaos of anarchy, they can go ahead and put down martial law. That's it right there. That's why they want you to do it. And desiring to do as thou wilt. It'll make you inadvertently, by default, set yourself to the Crowleyan golden rule of thinking. And it's the same reason that undisciplined children are off the hook, aka possessed with mischief demons. You don't believe that there are as many demons and spirits walking around here waiting for a vessel as there really are. They're waiting for a vehicle, waiting for a vessel to ride in. And these are some of the same people who do not believe in prayer. If prayer didn't work and there is an agenda, an Illuminati agenda against you, why would they take it out of school? Prayer is nothing but submission to the Creator, asking something that's greater for what you want, as opposed to asking your boss or asking yourself, like you want to do, as thou wilt. Prayer is about actual submission to something that is greater than you. A person who does not pray, you need to stay away. Because that's a person who, whether they will admit it outwardly or not, they are not giving honor to the fact that there's something greater than them. So therefore, they see themselves as a God. Whether they say it or not, they are acting as their own God, because they're not allowing for themselves to be guided by the Most High. In all thy ways acknowledge the Lord, and he shall direct thy paths. That's in all of your ways. I know hustlers, and this is why I know Tariq Nasheed is a fake also. I heard him say the other day about praying is all passive aggressive, and a real men don't pray. They get out there and they do it and blah blah blah. The three biggest hustlers I know, and I'm gonna tell you, for two of them, rest in peace. One of them was a millionaire, one of them was 100,000 there, and another one is not close from there. And he's still living. But all three of them were able to give testimonies as to how they would have went down had the Most High not spared them. I mean, and I don't mean snitching to get out of prison type of testimonies. Although I know some of y'all try to say Detroit snitch again. No, I'm talking about real G's who didn't tell, never told, but they was put in situations. My one man, Harry Hair in the chair, he was pent down in a car with 4 people, and all 4 of them got smoked. And he was laying there in the back acting like he was dead, and it didn't a bullet graze his head. And I know too many stories and examples of that. And so he was a devout believer. He hated the devil. He used to cuss the devil out all the time, but he was still doing his thing. Okay, that's what it means when it says, and yes, at a certain point we have to repent, but I'm not the judge and jury, thank goodness, and I'm glad you ain't neither. King David did some very heinous things. Sometimes when you're ruling or when you're out here dueling, you got to do some things. And he was a soldier and a warrior and a musician, and he had a repentant heart. He was called a friend of God. And so if King David was allowed, and again, that's not to give you an excuse to just do what you want to do, but it's just the truth. The Creator says his ways are higher than your ways, and his thoughts are higher than your thoughts. So what you think might should condemn a person. Who cares what you think? Thank God you're not the jury and the judge. Look at what you do when ain't nobody looking. But again, these brothers kept God close to them, and God protected them, kept them out of harm's way, kept them from getting riddled up with bullets, and I believe kept them able to do what they was doing and stay afloat as long as they believed that that's all they could do. He says, I am he that judges thee by thy reins and thy heart. That ain't your reins and that ain't your heart. Your reins is your brains. The reins of a horse would make the horse go, would make the horse stop. So if that's not your reins and your heart, why are you worried about it? You do what he tell you to do. He's going to judge you by what you know. If you know better than that, if you know you can go out here and get a job and work and do what you're supposed to do, then that's how you going to be judged. There's some people that do not believe that, and you could not change their mind with your frame of mind. Only the Most High could do that. And yes, please believe every chance I had, I ministered to those brothers. Also to my brother Jamie, rest in peace. Every chance that I had, I ministered to those brothers. And yeah, if you push the Creator's grace and mercy too long, he'll take his hand away from you. And that's why I had to R.I.P. those 3. But to my man Mob Town Slim, you keep on praying, and he will make a way out for you. Believe it. So there is a way to keep yourself covered throughout your day, And that's the way that you do it, from things that you cannot see and cannot understand, nor can you project that may happen to you. You need to pray, and not just in your mind. Just like you'll get down and put that body in all kind of positions to do things that's not of God. You get down and you put that body in position. That's a way of showing the Creator that you submitting this flesh. You dropping it down. It ain't too proud. It ain't too good to get on its knees. It ain't too good to clasp his hands together or to look funny in front of people. Yeshua said, the Messiah said, if you act ashamed of me in front of men, I will be ashamed of you in front of my Father. You don't want that. So for those who say no prayer, they game goofy goobers and nothing but a baby bear. Now, systematic behavior modification, conditioning via religions, cults, cliques, secret orders, frats, sororities, hive-minded, non-thinking, automated, robotic, like a robot. Yes, the scripture says, be like the ant, thou sluggard, you sluggard. But it's telling you what it means about the ant. The sluggard don't want to work. So it's just telling you to work hard like the ant. It ain't telling you to be without the mentality of a human with 6 1/2 ounces of brain. It's telling you to do what you're supposed to do, like an ant do. An ant do is J-O-B. So again, you do your job, but you have the ability to think. You should think about things, consider things, ponder things. You have time to think. They don't want to give you time to think. They want you to be automated, like a robot, non-thinking. You get up on schedule. You go to bed on schedule. You eat on schedule. In between there, you have a time for a little bit of mind control programming by way of TV. But as long as you own the rich man's schedule that owns the place, when do you ever own the Creator's schedule? When do you ever give him any true and real dedication? Sacrifice some thought. Pay attention. That's why I said pay attention, because it's a sacrifice. It costs something. Time is money. So spend some time. Learn some things. Open some books. Listen to some lectures. Check out some documentaries. Use your mind. Mind your wants, because there's someone that wants your mind. And if you don't use it, you will lose it. Believe it. And that's the plot. So they want us all to be hive-minded, like reptilians were. If you remember the TV program Land of the Lost, if you're old enough to remember that, I know they remade it, and I don't know how true to the original they remade the movie, because they put, I believe, Will Ferrell in it to make it a big joke. But so you wouldn't take anything about it seriously. But in the Land of the Lost, there was a reptilian race called the Sleazaks, and the Sleazaks were hive-minded. They all kind of walked in a single file, and they all kind of moved with one another, and they thought the same thought. That has to do with the R-type thinking, the reptilian brain thinking, that fuels many of you who are addicted to sports, or addicted to sex, addicted to status, like many of you who joined the frats is. That's what that's about. When I look around at the frat brothers, I happened to be at a wedding, and I saw some, the brother was in a frat and the sister was in a frat. I was at someone's wedding, and the frat surrounded her after they got married. This was at the reception later. They surrounded her and they sang, "Oh, my sweetheart, oh, you're my sweetheart." And I thought to myself, how goofy goober all of these dudes look. First of all, before they got up, I noticed, I didn't realize that these dudes was in a frat, but I just noticed, look at all the goofy goobers sitting around here. Why all these dudes look like they dressed the same? They all got the same kind of countenance, all kind of, had the same expression on their face, like the way their face was fixed. It was all a similarity to all of them. It's the hive-minded mentality of the reptilian brain, which we all have. Psychology will tell you that you have the mammalian brain and the reptilian brain. And the reptilian brain is what makes you obsessed with what place you in. It makes you obsessed with sex. It makes you obsessed with violence. It makes you obsessed with religion. All of these things are part of the reptilian brain dynamic. And the goal is not to disrupt your reptilian brain. So when you hear that, that's not right and exact. The goal is to pump it up, to turn it up, to turn up your reptilian brain. Okay? The other extreme of lawlessness or having no discipline, like PK kids, preachers' kids, society families or royal families, they have the utmost discipline, and they're taught how to act and how not to act, and etiquette, and they're sent to charm school and all this type of stuff. That is another form. Again, we're talking about the duality of mind control, how they'll get you with mind control, style black or style white. Aldous Huxley style or George Orwell style. Order style, by you can't do nothing. Or chaos style, by do what you want to do. Either way, as a parent, if you raise your child either one of those two extremes, you're going to have an issue. That's why it's all about the gray area. And they call it the gray area because, ironically, it's the area that the spirit beings overstand. They overstand that's where the truth is at. And the gray is nothing but a spirit being. He ain't come from no outer space. Have mercy. So, these two extremes feed the R-type thinking of the brain. Okay? Either being deprived, make you go caveman, or having too much, make you go royal. Either way, both of these two dynamics were taken over by the reptilians. The Sleazaks in Land of the Lost, they was kicking it with the caveman. Well, look on the Temple of Hathor, and you'll find them kicking it with the Egyptian kings. You will find serpentine beings, long and lean, kicking it with the Egyptian kings. Believe it. Look it up. All right. Another thing that makes you a good candidate for these mind control programs: Project Janus, MK Ultra, Project Umbrella, the Jason Project. Are you willing to release your own will in exchange for material gain? The same as sacrificing one's child to the fire for success, which you find admonished by the Creator in the Old Testament. Also, resigning your will, resignation of will, meaning, I give up. When you give up, if you give up on trying to do different things, on trying to learn, on trying to eat right, on trying to avoid poisons, when you give up, you also become a good candidate for Project Janus or Monarch possession. Okay? God gave willpower as a gift. He gave you free will. That's your willpower. The ability to choose as a gift. So when you give up your willpower, that's people that's on dope. The crackhead has given up his willpower. So the people that want to sleep all day, they've given up their willpower. I know a couple of people now who every time the going gets rough, they get to snowing. And it's a way of, I'm finna drop out of reality. I don't want to be involved. I don't feel like I'm on status like I should. I don't want to participate. When you don't want to participate in life, you will participate in death. And Nas said it best: sleep is the cousin of death. You become the walking dead, or a sleep walking, which makes you most vulnerable for possession. You are most vulnerable for possession during the 8 hours or so, like a job, that the incubus and the succubus is on their job while you sleep. I believe also that the 8 hours is another thing, another form of gluttony, another form of giving us a rule that tempts us with gluttony. It tempts us to take too much. Like you got to eat 3 times a day. You don't have to eat 3 times a day. Even the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, back when he was honorable, wrote the book Eat to Live, not live to eat like some of you. You're on a seafood diet. You eat every time you see food. But you eat too much and you sleep too much. The scriptures say, love not sleep. That's right. Unless poverty come to you. Some people love sleep. So how many hours do you really need? Well, I can just tell you about me. I heard and had read some metaphysical information. It said it really only need about 4. Some people might need more. I'm good with about 4. Again, he says, I am thee that judges you by your brains and your heart. So you know in your brains and in your heart what you really need versus what really just feel good to you. It's another form of giving into the flesh. The same way in gluttony, a lot of church folks don't want to look at that gluttony thing. I'm telling you, it's as much the flesh as sexing, as drinking, as smoking. Eating. You pleasing your flesh. And again, it's the pleasure that derives from the flesh that the spirit beings are so interested in. That's why they want to take another ride inside. They've become disembodied. So they need a body to feel some of these good feelings again. That's why they transfer through sex. That's why they transfer through lust. Lust of things, materials. All of those things give your body's feelings. They make you feel some type of way, and you should figure out what type of way you feel. So, resignation of will. Giving away your God-given power of willpower. People that blank out. Some people blank out from anger, or from liquor, or from porn. Yes, All of those things can cause you to blank out. You become in a trance state, the same way people be in a trance state when they're watching TV. So you want to be aware of that. And many of the porn companies that I used to buy product from, I began to feel bad about it when I would see the names of the companies. The same way I would look at record company names, I started looking at the names of the companies putting out the hookup. And Dark Side, Evil Angel, Elegant Angel. So there is an agenda to get you in a trance state, however they got to do it. If they got you looking at Cherokee in a trance and it's another man getting busy, like Mr. Farrakhan said, that's also a way of pushing the homosexual agenda. You're not supposed to never see another man doing his thing. And some of you in frats, you've seen it too much. But you're sleeping too much, keep you in a trance state. And people that do not question what they intake or who dislike raw reality. They're also in a trance state, a self-induced hypnosis by being too much of a goofy goober about life. They don't want to accept things that they dislike. The rawness of reality is something that they'll run from. And they do not question the things that they intake into their gates, their eye gates, their ear gates, their nose gates, and their mouth gates. And that's right, even for the perfumes that we smell and the incenses that we burn. Anything that comes inside of the temple can be hijacked and used to open you up and put a spirit in you. Believe it. So watch what comes into your gates. And look at all of the gates that's on the top floor of the temple, where everything got to come through. They say to the temple. This is called the temple by many. In reality, the temple is the entire house. From the rooftop, from the crown, all the way down to the soles of the feet. But yes, everything enters in through, this is called the temple. So everything enters in through the mind. The importance of the mind is paramount. There are countless scriptures that tell you about the importance of the mind. And some of you that belong to churches or consider yourselves believers, you're really numb when it comes to keeping from being dumb. And it's a huge part of protecting yourself from the enemy, because he enters in by way of the mind. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. He didn't say transformed into something good or bad, but he said what will transform you is having a new state of mind. So it's by the mind. As a man thinketh, so shall he be. You bring things into existence by the mind. Speak those things that are not as though they were. Again, speaking things into existence. A thing forms as a thought, it becomes a word, and it should become an action. Those three things should go in line. Evil thoughts are talked about in Jeremiah 4 and 14. Depraved minds in Romans 1 and 28. The conflict between the mind and body in Romans 7, 21 through 25. Natural mind, spirit-controlled mind. Romans 8, 6 through 9. Futility thinking. Ephesians 4 and 17. The attitude of your mind dictates your conduct. Philippians 4, 8 and 9. An egotistical mind, the dangers thereof. Colossians 2 and 18. Having a corrupt mind, or the conscience. Titus 1 and 15. Having your minds prepared for action. 1 Peter 1 and 13. And keep your thoughts fixed on Jesus. Hebrews 3 and 1. So the importance of the mind is paramount. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Don't be double-minded. Be single-minded. They want you to be double-minded, to split you in two. Have you believe in two opposing realities at the same time. Have mercy. Okay. Having a fixation with bloodline or family status. The desire to be a star or be worshipped, to have accolades showered upon you. All of this is linked together to the same reason why the royalty of ancient Kemet gave themselves up and took that bet. They took the bet that them spirit beings that they conjured up, that they was brought into contact with through the Egyptian mystery system, through the magic and the rituals, through the reptilian being teaching them these things, they bet that they would get top-notch status for doing so. Their civilization would be the greatest. It would last forever. Those pharaohs believed they was gods, and most of them is laying up in a casket in somebody's museum. those that have been found. So you believe that you're going to understand the Egyptian magic better than the pharaohs who are dead, and we have evidence of their death. Something is wrong with that. You believe that you will achieve the mortality that they were unable to achieve. You ain't even read the Medu Netter. Have mercy. So having a fixation with your bloodline and your family status, that goes hand in hand with the desire to be a star. It's why we hear and understand that many of the stars, whether they admit it or not, are related. And why people worship celebrities or entertainers, with celebrities meaning they're celebrated like a birthday or like a holy day, and star indicates astrotheology, the worship of the stars. And many of us worship the entertainers. They have accolades showered upon them. They're given all sorts of free things, despite the fact that we're told that they make big money. And I maintain that they don't make so much big money. More things are given to them. It's a better way to control you as a pimp if I give you what I want you to have. That's why they can't just do what they want to do. They're not allowed to simply do what they want to do. They're not allowed to simply go and build schools for the children in the inner city. They're not allowed to just go and refurbish a playground. They're not allowed to spend their money the way that you think they would want to. So therein answers the question that I used to ask before when I was a little game goofy. I would ask the question, well, why don't all the rappers, or 4 or 5 rappers, and Shaq and a couple of them that got big dollars, why don't they all get together and build us a community, or build us a this, or build us a that? Why don't they hire the best lawyers and get us our own land? And why don't they do this? And Farrakhan ain't gonna be able to do it neither. Believe it, because they're only allowed to do what the pimp tells them to. All good pimps is not finna give you the money and hey, you go buy your fur coat. They're gonna go buy a fur coat for you. And it's part of the way that they pimp out the stars and the athletes, excuse me, the entertainers and the athletes, for they're not stars. We should stop calling them that. They don't shine. They're not up in the sky. Stars have a long, long life. These stars burn out awful quick. And it's a new one next week, next month. But again, you worship them and look up to them as if they were stars. The wording that you hear used about them on award shows is always something about the stars. Even in gospel, they have the stellar awards, and stellar has to do with of the stars, means of the stars. Right there. It's pagan in and of itself. So watch out for your stellar award winners. Have mercy. These things, or this behavior, this form of behavior modification, which is another way to make you a prime candidate for possession by way of MK Ultra, this often results from one extreme or the other. Again, the duality of the traumatizing duality. Having too little attention as a child makes you want to grow up and crave it. I'm going to show them. Or the other, having too much attention. This is, I hope, showing some of you the benefit and the importance of the gray area, the details. Not especially for the males and for the females, but especially for those of you who are raising children who have not come to full maturity yet. It's some of this and it's some of that. Don't you let nobody tell you you should never whoop a child. And don't let nobody tell you, well, I'm going to whoop them. They ain't going to tell me nothing. You should have some sort of relationship where you understand their thinking. Okay? But at the same time, too, there'll come a time where you got to whoop that behind. And that's part of being sure that you're not giving them too little or too much. It's the gray area. Okay? Because again, one extreme stands for the George Orwell 1984 version, the too little, not having enough, like not having enough to eat. And the other extreme stands for the Aldous Huxley Brave New World Order technique, or the B technique, the passive aggressive technique of getting too much, having too much to eat. Eating too much or eating too little will make you sick and die. The middle ground, or the gray area, is defense against being trapped as a black pawn or a white one. Demons and devils in the details. Into details. Meaning they overstand the truth they keep you from, which is in the gray area. Racism is fixation with bloodline by default, whether you're black or you're white. If you are fixated with racism, you are by default fixated with your bloodline, your ancestry, your heritage, and that is the reptilian brain thinking personified. It's an anti-human philosophy, whether the human is white or black. If you anti another human, it's reptilian kicking off. Believe it. All right. Other good candidates are found in government programs and/or military and politics. This was somewhat exemplified in the movie Manchurian Candidate, where you saw it in both the military and in politics. They took the Manchurian Candidate straight from off the field, fighting as a soldier, and then they pushed him up into politics, made him a political candidate. And it makes for easy monitoring. But there's easier monitoring nowadays and less need for spooks. What are spooks? A spook is a somewhat derogatory term, but then again, as we look at it, we'll find that it's not. But it's a slang term for a CIA agent or for a spy. It's called a spook. Believe it. Spooks used to have to follow you because they made a chart on you. They got your file. They understand what type of things you like, don't like. They intercept you somewhere with an agent. And all this stuff costs time and money and research. They can do it a lot easier nowadays. They use real spooks to follow you. Direct from the military occult complex, the spirit realm. The spirit realm is involved in MK Ultra, just as it was involved in Project Paperclip for NASA. That's why Jack Parsons was brought in. So how can you say it's involved in one and not involved in the other when you know that one is a derivative of the other? Have mercy. MK Ultra is partially here because of the Nazi scientists who came for NASA, who came through Operation Project Paperclip. Military/occult. What was the Nazi scientists doing? The whole Nazi scientific elite and military elite were all part of the occult, the Thule Society. That's what Adolf Hitler belonged to, and that's why he ended up using a symbol that can also be found among Native Americans. He was using a magic symbol that represents duality. It's a sigil, a magic symbol, or a piece of sacred geometry, like the pentagram, a shape that can be drawn that snaps the subconscious mind of the ancestral thinking into recognition, tunes the frequency of the brain, the tuner of this big receiver here, and opens you up to allow something in. That's why they had it on everything. And to this day, foolish Nazi supremacists or white supremacists and neo-Nazis, some of them don't even understand the real significance of a magic symbol while they're talking about America and they're using a Nazi symbol. They're under mind control duality, believing two opposing realities at the same time. Have mercy. Okay, there's less need for CIA spooks to follow you today. Spirits follow and report. There is a particular type of demon known as the reporting demon. I heard a prophetess speak of how some of the gang members, when possessed, either through the ritual that they go through, the trauma that they go through in the ritual, getting beat down or jumped in, the same as children go through trauma and spirits walk in. Some of them go to get institutionalized, or they get incarcerated, and while they're incarcerated, they are met by a individual that represents the secret societies. And if that gang leader has enough power and influence, he will give him a baby bear induction and teach him some instruction. This is where you get the gang signs that directly relate to occult symbols and signs, like you do with the gangster disciples and the folks. Also different things involving the Crips and the Bloods. I saw a Crip doing his hand signing, and some of those hand signs are mudras, which come from the use of hand positioning magic, like you see Shiva doing, you know, in her little stance, or like they tell you to do in yoga, body position magic. Yes, there's lots of different forms of mancy or magic. But yeah, gang leaders teach or spread the spirit to their members, and the members will do graffiti. And all graffiti is not, I do believe I've seen some very beautiful graffiti artwork, but again, it's about the spirit behind the thing. And graffiti can also be used and it's put in certain neighborhoods because the spirit of the art, or the spirit in the art, can be a demonic spirit, and it's a watcher spirit posted up right there in the neighborhood, watching the activities of the neighborhood, of the community. Believe it. Okay. Pastors, preachers, pimps, and gang leaders all have unusual control over people, and they become optimum candidates for possession because they have lots of followers. And if you can possess them effectively, then that thing can Agent Smith, like Agent Smith was in one place, he in the latter movies 2 and 3, he multiplied himself into 10, 20, hundreds of people. And it's the same way that that demonic spirit can do. Start off in one person and end up in you. One person be mad or upset or angry, they come into the room and they'll spread that spirit. Sex addicts, also prime candidates because of succubi and incubi who love to ride in these vehicles, because the thing that they want to bring back in their physical experience is sex. And a lot of the practices that we pick up on, things that come from tantric sex, things that come from pornography. Many of the people today are doing sex magic rituals in the bed, and the church, Pastor Porkchop will tell you the marriage bed is undefiled. I mean, do anything. Certain things are forbidden, and we need not speak of them here. I believe I spoke of them before. But certain things are forbidden because of things that you do not know. Because those very things are practices that came from reptilians who wished to cannibalize and eat your children, eat your blood. I heard about a brother who went downtown on a red light trip, and that is sex magic ritual personified, and I believe he know it. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. He have to know it. If you don't know it, shame on him for being a game goofy goober. But a lot of the things that the old folks wouldn't dare do, it's not that we do them today just because we're faster and smarter. Some of it is because we've let our guard down more from having spiritual discipline, from having a belief system, from having some shame about what we will and won't do. And that's part of the game. That's part of the agenda. Part of getting you closer and closer to do as thou wilt. The Huxley bet that if we let them do everything they want to do, they'll destroy themselves. And we'll have to come put martial law down. As opposed to just guerrilla pimping, like Orwell bet in 1984 and said, well, hey, we just go and make them do what we want them to do. It's the good cop, bad cop. And that's why they started you with Bush, the bad cop, slapped you around, made you feel real threatened with 9/11, scared the mess out of you. Then they brought you the smooth talking swagger of the suave brother Obeezy. He was the good cop, and he came in and gave you a pop. And now you're ready to talk. Okay. Disney uses a lot of sex subliminals, among other heinous things that they do in their cartoons, the sigil magic and different things that they use. One of Disney's favorite tricks in their cartoons is to put little subliminal sex in different things. I know many of you are aware of that. I don't have to go back down through that road. If you don't know about that, just type in Disney and subliminals and you'll get a mother load of information. They have been indicted on this back before I was even up on the Illuminati. And I mean, this had to be like when I first got a hold to William Cooper's Behold a Pale Horse. It was 1990 or 91. So prior to that time, there were church groups and different Christian organizations that were telling parents, don't let your children look at Disney. For some time now, he's been outed as an occultist. Disneyland is 1313. Epcot Center is a mind control center. Even Dr. York said that, and then later got busted for taking the children down there. And I believe that he did that because a lot of things he denied, that he did not deny. And that was a form of trauma to Nuwaubians who knew if they read the year 2000 and what to expect. He said in that book that Epcot training center, and Disney World was a place that they mind controlled children, and they had underground areas where they did just that. And he was taking children there to get them tuned up. Not to mention the Blue Room, Dr. York in the Blue Room, where he would test your wife out. He'd test drive your wife before you had her for the first night. All of the duality that he took his people down through. One minute we the Washita tribe of Indians. The next minute we the Ansaru Allah. Before that, then after that we become the Church of Karast. He went through so many different things. It was a way of it was a pimp test to see if I do this, will they follow me? If I do this, will they follow me? Then the fact that he was a songwriter. Yes, that's right. Not just a singer. And on the cover of his album, which I got embarrassed, I was talking about Dr. York this, Dr. York that, and I happened to go to the studio record shopping with my homeboy Tony Grown, who owned the studio, and he made beats himself. And me and him went record shopping looking for some beats to jack. And we went to Record Town, I believe it was. And we looking through the records, we looking through the stacks of records. He 2 or 3 stacks down from me. I'm looking through my stack, the stack that they had there. And he said, "Hey, yo, Jack, ain't this your man?" I looked up. I went over there to see what he's looking at. He pulled out a Dr. York record. Inside each song is a special message hidden just for you. Said that on the record. Dr. York looking like a player pimp. He looked like Sweet Daddy on the cover. Have mercy. So, you need to overstand mind control. Until you overstand mind control, everything else that you think that you know will only confuse you. Have mercy. It almost happened to me. All praises be to the Most High for eternity. So yes, you have Disney with the sex subliminals. Then, of course, you have the internet or the web. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Where the porn availability and the tricking availability is off the chain. The ability for children to get access to things that they should not see. And not just children, but people who have weak wills. The porn availability is off the chain. It's free. The devil is giving you free access to something that will put you in a trance state. And some people get so fixated by pornography and what they do while watching it puts them in a trance state. And they're oftentimes in a trance state. They don't want to hear nobody. Don't nobody want to interrupt. You better not interrupt them. Because while they're in that trance state, there is a being that wants to get in them while it can. Aleister Crowley and them used the sex magic because the period of time right before climax, right before orgasm, is the heightened state or the heightened vibrational time where extra dimensional beings want you to be. And they teach you in Tantra how to keep that time going. So if you can keep that time going without actually ejaculating, they believe that spirit beings can come and enter into you and make your sex more spectacular. And there are women who admittedly say that they've had sex with extra-dimensional beings. They believe them to be aliens. And there are also brothers who say that they let the spirits come into them, and it's better than a Viagra, they'll tell you. But of course, like all things that you do for the spirits, in the end they must trick you, because that's part of the game. Their game is to control you. Again, consider stinging the police wrapped around your finger, and that will make that clearer for you. But their goal is to trick you. He says, it will turn your face to alabaster when you find the servant is your master. You call up this thing that ain't nobody, so that it can take you to higher heights, shoot you up, baby, give you a rocket love, give you a star. But then about a half a mile from heaven, it will send you back down to this cold, cold world. And that's the job of this spirit being, as is also exemplified again in Silver Shadow by Atlantic Star. Okay, we're almost through here. The availability of tricking now is off the chain, which is nothing but a kind way to disguise, or slang way to disguise, whoring. And the Bible puts whoremongers and whoring right with murdering. Yes, it does. And the way that things are today, there's ways that you can be involved in that and not be ashamed of it, because they have different names for it or different games for it. If it walk like a duck, quack like a duck. So do be cautious of that as another way to allow for extra dimensional beings, aka demons, to hop into your body because you have sold yourself. When you sell yourself, you also are in that state. You're in that trance state that you must be in. And so is the male. He's in that trance state. Also, he's so excited about getting a piece. And you're so excited about getting that money. It's that excitement that these things look for the doorways to hop in you because of. Because of that excitement, your vibration changes on levels that it should never change. There are ways you're never supposed to vibrate. That's why Crowley used pedophilism. That's why he used homosexual sex. That's why he used abominable sex or blasphemous sex. These are things that you're not supposed to do, and upon doing them, your mind splits. It creates that duality. I'm doing this, but I'm not really doing this. I'm going to forget that I did this. How many whores say that? And tricks too. Believing two different things at the same time opens yourself up, opens your mind up and yourself up to duality. Also today, running rampant is narcissism, arrogance, and money hunger. He that hasteneth to be rich has an evil eye. And when they say evil eye, they mean a spell, because the evil eye is an ancient form of a spell to give you the evil eye. So it says that he that hastens to be rich, that means if you hurry up and want some money, as opposed to getting it, the righteous way, might be slow for you, but fast money. That's a great way of saying that. Fast money will keep you in a spell. An evil eye, a spell, or a demon. He that hasteneth to be rich has an evil eye, a spell, or a demon. That's in Proverbs. Google it. Okay. People who are TV heads, and yes, people that are narcissistic often hasten to be rich. When you watch the movies like The Wolves of Wall Street and different things of that nature, you're seeing narcissism being sold to you. They show you Leonardo in the Lamborghini and whatnot. Narcissism is me. Look at how bad I am. Look at what all I got. It's ultra pride and arrogance. You know what that is. Looking down upon others because you've elevated yourself. This is what being rich. I want to be rich. This is what they pump into the psyche, that you want to be rich. You don't care how you get there. And that's what opens the doors up, the gateways up, so enemies can come in. TV heads, and I mean TV heads like crackheads, not the heads of TV, although the heads of TV, I'm sure, are quite possessed. But TV heads, people who watch too much TV, victims of the occult pharmaceutical complex, because just like we discovered and made right and exact perfect sense about how the occult and the military, are intimately connected. Just look at the patches for different military troops and operations. You find dragons on maybe 85% of them. Some sort of reptilian symbol on 85% of patches that you get in special forces and different military divisions. Somebody did a good expose on that on YouTube. Maybe you'll find that. But just as those two things are connected, the occult and the military, also you'll find the occult and the pharmaceutical complex. The same thing. The names of the drugs. Xanax, the same word forward and backward. Also the name for a demonic entity. They didn't even play with Xanax. It turns you into another individual. I've seen this happen, and I know an individual right now. As a matter of fact, the two individuals that inspired the first MK Ultra in the Hood series, they are both struggling with the use of pharma-con, the con of big pharma, or pharmakia, pharmaceuticals, many of you call them, aka big pharma, or the great demon, pharmacon. Addicted. People who are addicted to different things. Addicted to music. The same thing. I was a fiend before I became a teen. Maybe I forget the other mind, but yeah, being addicted to music. It's okay, to enjoy music as a human right. Really, though, it's the right of the creator to enjoy music. Music is made by man for the creator. When it's not made by man for the creator, it's made by man for the destroyer. There's no middle ground there. There's no gray area there. By default, if you are not making your music in praise of the Creator and or his creations, then you're making music to honor the destroyer and his devices of destruction. And there's only one of two spirits you can be under when you make music. Please believe it. I wrote a song with Songwriter Secret by default because I wasn't writing a song to the Most High, and I was trying to write a song radio style, and I did it. It got on the radio with no payola, but that song, the hook, could go right in my Songwriter Secret philosophy, and I had no dealings knowingly with Lucifer. But that just goes to show you, you don't have to know. By default, he'll take you. He's a legalist. He'll take you just by the fact you won't sign on with the other team. Have mercy. And last, the last page. But I didn't tell them to come in. Mind, body, bogartened by spirits. Now we know that we've made the relationship between vampires and dragons and demons, reptilians. And the general rule and overstanding is you have to give them permission. But guess what? He'll take your permission slip any way you give it to him. Watch what you say. Watch your words. I had a bad toothache and I made the mistake. I said, this tooth is killing me. A minister heard me and he admonished me and he brought me back to overstanding. By your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Speak those things that are not as though they were. And so sometimes without meaning to, you say, I hate you. Or man, I wish I was never born. Things that we say. There is a spirit being always waiting for you to say the right thing to give him legal permission, legal right to enter the house. You didn't tell him to come in, but you didn't tell him to stay out neither. It's the only way they can bogart the body. Interestingly enough, today, and we're going to look at some of the obvious ways and then close this out, but interestingly enough, today, young people are told they are freer. They have more freedoms. They're faster. They have more choices than ever before. When really they're under more hypnosis than ever before. And they will swear to you, I'm doing this because I want to. You don't even know what you want. You were never even given an opportunity to decide what you want, because you wanted what the hood wanted, or you wanted what your bigger brother wanted, or you wanted what your classmates wanted. You wanted them Jordans because their classmates had them. You have, and I saw Jordan number 11 was called bread. Not bread like you slice, but B-R-E-D. Like something bred into you, or like a breed of a thing. And many of the athletes we know have been not only enhanced by certain drugs and techniques within the confines of science, but they've also been enhanced by things from the scientific occult complex. Come on. The devil is the prince of this world. The occult part is in every complex. Look at the symbols on your cars. There's no consumer product that's not been touched in that manner. Now, that makes some people run screaming and they want to cut it off. Oh, no, I can't take no. You're talking negativity. I believe these things and I live life every day. You can do the same thing. He's not a respecter of persons. I ain't nobody great. This is to keep you aware. Do you believe what it says in there, believer? Our people perish for lack of knowledge. Be not ignorant in a small matter nor a great. You want to be ignorant because ignorance is bliss, and ignorance is what you're doing. You see it. All of these things are things that your spirit sees already. My spirit sees it just like your spirit sees it. The only thing is I'll tell it. Your spirit will see it and you might want to ignore it, act like it's not there. And that's ignorance. You got to ignore. To ignore me, you got to first know I'm here. Have mercy. So they're making the children more and more ignorant, because they feel these things, but sometimes they need, the eldership has been taken away. We have a generation of people that don't want to be elders. You 40 years old, you still want a rap career. You're supposed to be an elder to some young cat that want to be rapping. And Mike could get a deal. Ain't no way you going to get a deal. But you should be able to tell him the game. from the elders' perspective. But again, part of the black and white dynamic, they make it where, you know, when I was a young dude, I liked to hear a old head give me some game. I loved it. Nowadays, the young dudes, they're not too quick to do that, because they believe they doing it because they want to. Man, do as thou wilt, personified in their behavior. But you got to start off young. If you don't start them young, you hung. You got to start them young, because there are more things bombarding them with weapons designed to make them vibrate in such a way to put them in a trance state, or to cause their brain to open up to possession without them even knowing it. You have the E.l.f, or electronic low frequency, and ironically an e.l.f is a form of demon. You have the E.l.f towers everywhere. You got satellites beaming down frequencies through the air. You got cell towers put everywhere, supposedly because this is it's the only way to keep. Don't you know, if they tell you they could put a man on the moon and all this other type of stuff, you same goofy goobers believe that they got to put a tower in every neighborhood in order for you to be able to talk from one goofy goober to the next. Have mercy. Wi-Fi streaming through the air. Ain't no cords. They don't need cords no more. Ephesians 2:2 calls the devil the prince of the power of the air. Add to it waves, because frequencies vibrate, so they waving. HAARP, of course, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project. From HAARP to Harpo, Oprah, telling you what you need to do and what you need to believe. Hypnotizing by way of frequencies in the air waves. HAARP sends transmissions down into the earth and into the air. So not only are you getting the transmissions hitting you in the air, but while your feet is patting the concrete, you also getting them up through the soles. These poor children. Plus they got some Air Jordan breads on the bottom of their hookup. Ain't no telling what kind of spells they put on that sigil magic covered shoe. The Nike symbol is a sigil magic sign. A sign designed with sacred geometry in mind. A sign designed to open up your brain waves, put you in a certain frequency, a trance state, to open you up to believe it's all good. That's why most of y'all smoke Newports in the hood. How you a smoker for 20 years, you ain't never smoked another cigarette? You never tried another one. Something about that brand has you hooked. You can't say it's the strongest brand if you never tried another one. We do things because we see other people do things. And the children are 10 times worse today. The frequency magic. The magic of vibrations through the air. That's HAARP. Angels don't play this harp. Or aeromancy. Think about Aerosmith. He was an arrow smith, like a gold smith or an iron smith. A smith shapes the prefix. So if it's ironsmith, he smiths or he shapes iron. An aerosmith shapes the air. Have mercy. So they hit you with high frequency by way of HAARP. They hit you with low frequency by way of E.l.f. And HAARP can reach low frequencies too, because it takes them low frequencies to cause earthquakes. And there would be earthquakes in diverse places, the scripture tells us, but he didn't say, the creator didn't say, because I'm creating them. But that's the wisdom of the Most High that could not be denied or even taken out of the book, not even by King James, although you think he's so powerful, or Constantine. Right there in that book, you got proof that what was going to go on today was pre-told through the prophets, who were inspired by God, who cannot be changed by no goofy goober. Can't nobody take the words that come from God and twist them around. How you sound? You have the wiring in devices, in houses, electronic frequencies. All of these things vibrating, sending pulsations out into you while you sleep, while you eat, while you watching TV, while you watching a million commercials, while you listening to BET or the Strong Song at 8. It said Lucifer fell like lightning. Lightning, they told you a lie that Ben Franklin discovered lightning. Thousands of years ago, they knew about how to make batteries in ancient Mesopotamia. So they overstood the electric charge a long time ago. Some will say that a form of demon possession feels like an electric charge. Well, I can tell you what I know, and that is that when the fallen spirit was coming down through me after it growled at me and did its thing, and the Most High told me what to do, and it came out the person, but he said, the Most High said, now it's coming to you. And it was all a test. I felt it coming down through my head. It didn't feel like no lightning. It might have felt like static electricity. It was weakish. But I could feel the tingle coming down through my head, filling slowly up, coming down, but filling up all of this space as it come down. And as I cried out and dropped down my ego and my pride and cried out to the Most High like you have to do in order to prove that you believe he's higher than you, like you cry out to your father or to your mother for real, I hollered out to him, I don't know what to do, help me, please. And that's one of the few times I admitted I did not know at that time. Now I'll say it at the drop of a dime. And he sent something through me that I know to be an angelic being now, and it felt more like a shock. It came up through the floor, up through the soles of my feet, went up my calf, up my thigh. I mean, it was moving much faster than this little weak tingle was moving. And it came up through me and pushed this thing up out of me, and I felt it, and it stayed in me for a second, and while it was in me, I was vibrating like I was on an electric chair. And I remember my homeboy Quabba now, who used to always talk to me about health. You know, he used to try to tell me, man, you know, you got to eat wheatgrass and you got to take raw jelly and all this other type of stuff. I used to say, man, it's all about the mind. Like, man, you know, as long as I keep my mind together, it don't matter what I do, man. You know. And he was like, well, one day you might come up against something that in order for you to fight against it, an angelic being will have to come into your body. And I knew Quabba, I knew his stuff, but I just thought I was just that tough. And as I sat there vibrating on that chair like I was on death row, getting an electric chair, getting old Sparky, I thought about the words that the brother had told me. So don't be so quick to dismiss things that you don't understand. So the Lucifer fell like lightning dynamic is more about how technology is used, electronics and electricity, electra. And that's the relationship between that, and how that also relates directly to magic. Because at one form of time, the very things that we call technology today, if an ancient was to come in here and see this technology around here, and it ain't extravagant, he would swear it was magic going on in here. He see me sitting here, and then he see me over there on this screen. And it did come from magic. All technology came from magic, brought to us by the fallen ones, according to the book of Enoch, which even lists for you the different things in technology and industry that different fallen angels taught man. And that book is older than some of the products that it lists. Can't beat it. But you look at the symbol on Harry Potter's forehead, and he was all about magic. What was it? A lightning bolt. Why was it a lightning bolt? Even if you look back at Reby Jackson's video for Centipede, which is very interesting. Lots of Illuminati symbolism and mind control symbolism in that. Lots of it. Masonic symbolism. Well, there's a glowing lightning bolt type of symbol on her forehead. Also, if you consider the symbol for the group Zap, featuring Roger. And they were about what? Technology. The talk box. That was the feature on all of the songs. Yes, it was Roger singing, but the one or two songs where he wasn't singing through the talk box, you was kind of disappointed. You didn't want to hear them songs. So it was about that technology. So the lightning bolt symbolizes technology or tricknology, because tech and trick have the same etymology. Evil demonology and original intent. The people who originally invented these things were not trying to invent what we're told they were trying to invent. Edison was not trying to invent simply a light. Graham Bell was not trying to invent something to talk person to person, but he was trying to invent something where you could pick it up and talk to the spirits. The dude, what's his name? Baird, who was behind the picture tube and revolutionized the TV. He wasn't trying to make something where you could look at some goofy goobers play out their lives in front of your eyes. He was trying to make something where you could look on the screen and see spirits. And movies like Poltergeist help to exemplify this. There are also many horror movies that exemplify spirits coming through the phone, or ghosts coming through the phone. as well. Even the Matrix. How did they get in and get out? Okay. But technology, also like trichinosis, a condition that comes from consumption of the trichina worm, which comes from pork primarily. The trichina worm, the trick, it affects your brain. And a trick affects your brain. Mind control of the brain, a trick. Star Trek, Star Trek, Star Tech, Star Technology. All the same root. Trick, tech, and trek. And a trek is a journey. And in order to get technology, you have to take a journey. Not in outer space, but in inner space. Have mercy. Big cities also help these demons to swarm and do their thing. Why? Because people live in close quarters, and although you might have your stuff together, you might keep a clean house, but your neighbor got roaches, guess what's going to happen? Same thing with these demons. You can't control who live next to you, above you, and up under you. What if they playing with Ouija? Okay? Excessive noise, which can cause distraction or can send you to a trance-like state because you keep hearing the same noises over and over and over again. It's akin to, in hypnotism, tick-tock, tick-tock. When you're in the country or in smaller cities, you can go without hearing any noise if you don't make it. But you can't do that in a big city. That's one reason why they want to move us into the big cities. For that reason, and because when they get ready to drop the bomb, we're all in the same location. You can hide in the country. The roads ain't all grid-like. My old dude told me that one of the reasons that Detroit was like a grid, he said they saw during the riots. Once they shut off Warren, 8 Mile, Woodward, and Southfield, I believe he said, it wasn't, you encased. Detroit is made like a grid. A lot of major cities are. And when you're in the country, you can duck, dodge, you can hide in the swamp, you can jump over this, jump over that, climb up this and that. Ain't none of that in the city. False lights. Again, Lucifer and his angels transform themselves into beings of light. Lots of false lights all throughout the city. And lights, neon lights especially, like you in New York, you see a bombardment of neon lights, which use a gas to produce that light. And gas is a form of smoke or a formless thing. And I maintain that that's a part of a particular type of magic to bring or to trap the mind by way of the gaseous movement. Okay, gases. Okay, sigil magic via logos on products, cars, clothes, and grocery stores. Big cities, of course, as we said, the false lights, the fear of danger. Fear is not of Yah. And when you have excessive fear and fear controls your reality, then you will vibrate in such a way like that spirit being wanted me to, and it said, fear me. It wants, there is a desire that you be fearful. Fear of danger. Less community state of mind. It is a desire that you be selfish. This is reptilian brain thinking. Okay, Babylon mind control by way of overload, by way of giving you everything. They believe that if they give you everything, you will gorge yourself to death. Okay, lots of unnecessary vibrations all around you. People playing their unnecessary music. Let's say you want to be peaceful. You want to sit down and read a book or something. And then they riding down the street playing Gucci Mane. That will affect your spirit. Believe it. They'll dumb you down. Short bus shorty. But yes, sigil magic by way of logos on products, cars, clothes, grocery stores. They put symbols on the cars. Symbol of your car inscribed on a scroll, as said by Brother J of S Clan. I didn't get that for years, but now I understand it. The ancient symbols of sigil magic are where you get most, and the gods and goddesses is where you get most of your insignias from, that they put on your cars, that they put on your clothes, and the products inside of your grocery stores. Solomon's keys, 32s and 33s belong to Solomon, and you know what I'm talking about. Like the spirits, Solomon thought that these spirits could all come under his subjection, and so he wrote about it. And they call the books the Lesser and Greater Key of Solomon, or the Goetia, where there's 72 demons listed in the lesser key, or the grimoires, and those are keys to opening your gates. Like piano keys are keys to opening your ear gates, or your eye gates. If someone was to look and see, they would find that your pupils would change if certain notes are hit. And dimensional gates, the gates in the veil that covers the other dimensions from the third dimension. Those gates will be opened by way of sacred geometry, which you find exemplified in much sigil magic from the Chrysler sign on down. A lot of different signs and symbols are used in order to open up the gates around you. And those symbols are found on everything that corporate America produces. Entertainment by way of concerts, harmonics, amusement parks. The black and white confusion, that's by way of making a difference between or causing confusion using fear and fun. The same way that they traumatize the children with sex and violence. They have traumatic sex, which is violent to a child, and they mix up pleasure and pain. Pleasure and pain, making a double-minded individual who is unstable in all their ways. It's the fear factor dynamic. Fear is fun. Love is lust. Love is hate. Sound like some of the stuff on Ed stuff, right? Even the word confuses. The word love, when you spell it backward, is the phonetic equivalent of evil. And so is live, because there's sigil magic all throughout the so-called spelling of the backward language that they call English. And it should be Anglish, as in the Anglo-Saxon American, American, or the Anglo, as in Angland. But yes, and anger and all of that does relate, and it has to do with the American way, which is to eat apple pie, which is fattening, to watch baseball, which is a waste of time. Have mercy. They worship the mother goddess, or Mother Mary. Quite contrary. Alchemical magic to change your vibration inside and out. Chemical warfare. The attacks on the nervous system by way of many different chemicals. Even the Fukushima disaster was a way to facilitate that. Nuclear power. Microwaves. The vibrations from microwaves. They're not trapped by that little door. People make fun of the tinfoil hat in conspiracy theory insults. People will talk about making a tinfoil hat, how crazy that is. Well, I'm gonna leave that alone. But interesting, if you put something covered in tinfoil in the microwave, what you find is the inability for the microwaves to penetrate the tinfoil. It bounces off. So I don't know if you're gonna make you an iron or a steel hat, but you might want to line your Kango with a little saran wrap, a little Reynolds wrap. Chemtrails and chem clouds dropping down barium and aluminum that are not only used to make you sick because you breathe them in, but also these things, and also dropping down biological material to make you sick, give you viruses and bacteria. But also these things affect the brain, the mind, another form of mind control, opening you up. Your different TVs, your new TVs, everybody got a big screen TV. Don't nobody want a big booty TV no more. The TVs used to be big and the people were slim. Now the TVs are slim and the people are big. Have mercy. But a plasma TV. Plasma is something that comes from blood. Nobody thought about that. 3D TV. That's talking about dimensional reality. I don't need my dimensional reality mixed up with my TV. HD TVs. Make sure you can see it clearer so it can put you in a better trance. People, when we was young, we used to could feel when the TV was on. You cut a TV on, especially an older TV, it was a little, I can't even say it was a sound, but it was a little frequency that would be made. And you knew a TV was on, even if the volume was all the way down. You could feel it. There is an energy pulsating from out of that TV due to its origin as an occult product. It was a product made with witchcraft in mind. And then you see in Poltergeist, little girl, they're here, and it reached through the TV, through the snow on the TV, and they said that that's very hypnotic. And oftentimes, the TV would go off or get disconnected, and people leave the snow on while they're walking around doing what they're doing. not realizing that that is helping to enhance a trance. The TV watching you. My buddy Tony Grown knew a sister whose father was in naval intelligence, and every time he would come home from his missions, he would take her and her siblings down in the basement, but first he would unplug all of the televisions and then turn them toward the wall. He knew something, and he would talk to them about the world and politics and different things, and just how to behave in general. But that tells me what a lot of us have believed for years: the TV, if you ain't watching it, it's watching you. Why wouldn't they do that way? Adolf Hitler gave the first transmission. He was into watching his people and controlling what they was doing. OnStars. The OnStar slogan, always on. Cable TV. Cables are used to tie something up. Or jumper cables are used to transmit energy from one thing to another. Smoke and smoking. The jinn is called the smokeless fire, and that's Arabic for demon. And it sounds just like the gin that you drink. Smoke and smoking. Look at the symbols on the packages. Blunt wraps, papers, squares are chemical laden. Most everybody knows about cigarettes. But the paraphernalia, known to be essential in drug use. Pipes with skulls on it, dragon-made pipes. The ceramics with tainted and cursed materials. Lighters and ashtrays even, because the lighter works off of gas. And again, the demon operates in a gaseous state. That's what I wanted to say about neon lights. The demon operates in a gaseous state. The way it moves and operates, it looks like gas. If you've ever had the opportunity to see a spirit being in motion. But I believe I talked about the blunt wraps already. The face. Maybe you need to see this. Or fake book. See that? That makes sense to you? Because the C is a S or a K. The C is a false letter. It's half a cipher. C stands for cipher. It's half a cipher. A cipher is a circle. So a C is a false letter that either always is a S sound or it is a K sound. And in Facebook, it makes the S sound, but it hides the K reality. Because, how can I say that? Because what is putting up a front called? Putting up a facade. And that's said with an S. But what is a facade? A facade is fake. So fake, face, and facade all have the same etymological root. So Facebook is fake book. And fake book talks about duality. And even in the movie, what was it called? Social Media. Let's see if we can get that. Fake book duality. Even in the movie, Social Media, they showed and proved to you the twin aspects of Facebook by bringing in front of you the contrived Winklevoss twins. I don't believe that the Winklevoss was behind it any more than I believe that the Zionist Zuckerberg was behind it. But I believe that these people helped to develop the technology for the U.S. government. And the U.S. government is truly behind Facebook. So don't put all of your business on there. Okay, say hi to your relatives. Say a little something that ain't really heavyweight jamming. And that's okay. I used to get on there and really kick it until it really started to making sense to me. Sometimes I'm a little slow, y'all. I'm telling you, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. But, and I mean really kick it as in really kick some knowledge. I never was about telling my business. That's just not my nature. But some people need a cheerleader, or they need the hive behind them, a hive-minded mentality. You put up the goofiest goober stuff, and you get 100 likes. And that's fake book, where people, everybody is a star. The deception of the shining star. You're a shining star. Or the silver shadow. Your friends know you want followers. Just like on Twitter, they go ahead and call them followers. So you want someone to worship you, or to follow you, or to be your cheerleaders. The need for hive mind approval. Cheerleaders, or self-deification, or to give you the star face. What do you mean by star face? I mean star dumb. Make you dumb as a star. A dome or a dumb. Star dome. Friends and followers. The dome. Oh, there it is. My fingers is over. Have mercy. Star dumb. Stardom, self-deification. Like wisdom is wise dome, and stardom is a star's dome, a star's mind, a star's face, a star's head. You go as far as to get plastic surgery. There's all kinds of surgeries now to give you other parts of a star's body beside the dome. But it's all called stardom. People want stardom more than they want wisdom. Okay, we're almost through here. And believe me, I'm finna rush through this. I have to. Okay, medicine. This is the last portion. The doctors have to take an oath. The first part of that oath is do physician, do no harm. Interesting that they use the term harm, because harm is where you get farm from. And when I say farm, I mean P-H-A-R-M. Right? Which one is this? Oh, it's this one. Do no harm. Do no farm, as in pharmacia, or Harmon, the mountain that the 200 fallen landed on, or Hermes, which is the root of the word harm. And Hermes is the god to whom doctors give the oath. Yes, they do. They don't just give the oath willy-nilly. Who are you pledging to? When you give an oath, you're pledging your allegiance. They pledge their allegiance to this god who came among them who came among the fallen, and they named the mountain that the fallen came down on after him. The mountain is called Harmon. You put a Y at the end of harmony and you got harmony. So this is the fallen angel who is behind medicine and music. And music is a medicine. It can do like a psychotropic pill and make you see things and remember things. Remember where you was at. It can take you back in your mind. It can soothe you, like certain pills are used to soothe you, painkillers. Or it can rile you up, like certain pills and drugs. That's what pharmaceuticals or drugs can turn you up. And medicine is all about the occult. It comes from the occult. That's why the symbol is that staff with two snakes wrapped around it, because the snakes brought this technology down to the ancients. Excuse me. The fallen brought it down to the snakes, and the snakes taught it to the people. That's right. Take no oath. That's what we find in the good book. And the Messiah said, let your yes be your yes and your no be your no. You ain't got to swear to nothing. Well, we know in the annals of medicine, we find them doing all sorts of ill things, and they always have. From the lobotomy, cutting open people's heads. Some of the things that they used to do, that's why it's called a medical practice. They don't really know what they're doing, because they've taken out the true source of healing, and they have put it all in a feeling. The placebo syndrome, as Parliament Funkadelic sang about in Funkadelic, giving you something that make you think you feel better. Because you believe in it, it make you feel better. My old dude used to say, mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. And that's what they're betting on. Because they don't give you anything to fix you. Like any good dope man, they give you something to give you a fix. And to make you get back to Jones, and so you can come back and get another fix. They don't fix nothing. They steal the placentas, especially the baby docs. Baby doctors are a key. That's one reason why Cosby was, who is a mind control programmer, was put over kids in the very beginning with Fat Albert, but also as a controller over Malcolm Jamal Warner, over Raven Simone, who ended up in Disney. And he was a Boule main man. And in Leonard Six, in the movie Leonard Six, Bill Cosby had to enter into a secret area, a secret chamber, and they asked him what was the code word, which was supposed to be his mother's maiden name, and the code word he used to enter in was Boule. Thank you, Steve Coakley, for that. But yes, they steal placentas. They traumatize little babies, especially, you think about the mohel. The mohel's job is, after the baby is circumcised, which is a practice that they tell you is religious, but they do it to all babies. Interesting. They cut off the penis, and what they do with that little piece of flesh. They also help to spread viruses. There are man-made sicknesses and cures that kill vaccines. there are man-made sicknesses and cures that kill, vaccines that kill and cause people to have all sorts of ill conditions. Again, when you're sick, when you're mentally or physically sick, it causes you to vibrate in such a way that makes you a prime candidate for possession. Avoid operations on power days. I know a person who was killed who was resurrected on May 1st and killed. It was a killing resurrection. And what the doctor did was alerted who he was supposed to alert, because he had got an alert. If you get a killing on this day, let us know. And they got a killing on that day. And their goal was to resurrect that individual with a new spirit inside of them. And they are an MK Ultra victim in the government projects, now hooked on pain pills. The pain pills in use that help to make your mind loose, or make you loose your mind. Xanax, Norcon, Vicodins. Depression medication causes the eyes to roll up, and this is the other victim that I know who was victimized because her minister father gave her over to her elite uncle who worked for presidents and different things. And the medication that she sometimes feels fearful enough to take, again, after knowing its effects, no side effects, only effects, it causes her eyes to roll up in her head, which happened while she was driving. It causes her to hear voices, which tell her to do things to herself, to cause her demise. And it causes nightmares. There are no mistakes made with these pills. There are no side effects, only effects. And of course, the cell phones. That's it. The cell phones, I said it before, as in jail cell phones, to entrap you, to trap you up. And a great way of putting a frequency right up against your brain, which is what the devil needs to enter into, which is what he needs to renew in order to transform you. And you put it right up against your head. Some of you have gotten a little wiser and will use an earpiece instead. Ain't nothing like putting it on speakerphone and keeping it away from your body. But again, these are all just general practices to help you who don't know or who want to know avoid different forms of inadvertent causing of the vibrations necessary to open up your gates and let demons in. And of course, I'm a believer in the Most High. I believe that the Messiah is real. Some say his name in Hebrew was Yahshua. Some say Yahavashah. Some say Yahshua. I found that Jesus made demons run, so I'm going to say Jesus most of the time. And we can't fear these things, but we need to understand them, because our people do perish for lack of knowledge. So it's not about, are you going to be able to stop doing each one of these things? Some of these points hit some of you and some of them hit others. And that's the point, my sisters and my brothers, to just be aware. Awareness, to pay attention. And attention costs. Yes, it does. It costs you your time. It costs you your brain power. But it's worth the cost. So let's not be penny wise and dollar foolish. Watch out for free cell phones for the poor. They'll give you a free cell phone if you in the project, so you got a bridge card. It's another form of government control. Now, if there was something that you could buy or read that would save you, if there was something that could simply come from your own power, some sort of magic that you could use that could save you, then the poor and undereducated would be lost. So there's something that's accessible by the poor and the undereducated, because that's who the Most High love. Believe it. So if it's something that you got to go buy this and buy that, or you got to build this and build that, that ain't the key. Anything that can be destroyed will not protect you from the destroyer. There's one protection in one direction, and that's the way, the truth, and the life. The true and living, h.a.a.r.p, the Most High, and His Son, manifest the Creator in the flesh, Jesus, Yeshua HaMashiach, which causes demons to flee and the heavens and the earth to tremble. I seen it. So with that being said, do what you can, but it's bigger than you, man. You can't fight magic with magic, nor fire with fire, else everything will burn up. So some more sources on this subject that you can look into. And again, you want to watch out for the New Age insertions in these different things. Bryce Taylor's book, Thanks for the Memories, and lectures that she's done on that. Kathy O'Brien, Transformation of America. Also Ted Gunderson, a former FBI agent who usually rolls with Bryce Taylor. He has some very good information on how some of the top athletes and Hollywood stars were involved in these pedophile rings, and the pedophile rings were directly connected to Satanism. It's about that magic, and there's only one form of magic. It's all black, because it all comes from us, and we shouldn't take it back. Fritz Springmeier, How to Create an Undetectable Mind-Controlled Slave. Also some things I've gleaned from Horson by Donald Goines, by Interview with a Mother Goddess by David Icke. As I said before, on YouTube, the internet radio program, Television Mind Control, Black Magic, Sigil Magic. They are altering your mind, and things I recall from the Holy Tablets in the year 2000 and what to expect. And so I appreciate you all, and of course, everything comes from out of the Holy Scriptures, what you call the Bible. And that is my key, and that is my main weaponry. And it shouldn't hurt you, because it didn't hurt me. It'll only help you. Open it up. Shalom.